Who approved this? How did this get through so many levels of people?
The same person who said we just wrote the lead single. The same. There was no filter. There was only one filter.
Oh, what is that? That's not it, is it? That can't be it.
You know what could really help turn this album campaign right around? The Cats trailer.
Let me just show you what I would look like if I was a cat really quick.
Welcome back to Evolution of a Snake, the Taylor Swift podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Madeline.
And this is the long-awaited, much-demanded 2019 Part 2. I'm going to give you the good and the bad news. The good news is 2019 Part 2 is here. The bad news is 2019 Part 3 needs to exist.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. You wouldn't believe how long the notes are for 2019 Part 2. And you wouldn't believe what gets left off because we didn't have enough time. And you wouldn't believe how much stuff there is to cover.
So much stuff. This was a year of chaos, of nonsense. The master recordings really threw a spanner in the works when it comes to talking about, the details of what's gone on. And our project is to be as thorough and as detailed as possible. And this specific issue is something that we want to spend a lot of time talking about because it's essential and integral to the lore, to the canon. And we really want to make sure that we get Taylor's perspective out there properly and we honor that. So that is why you will have 2019 Part 3. Do not ask when, because we don't know. It's a feather on the breath of God. What we do know is that we will be on the Snares tour merely a few days after you receive this episode. And our opening night show, New York City, is almost sold out. Maybe it's sold out by the time this comes out. If it's not, evolutionofasnake.com. Come buy tickets to see us at the Bell House. You can also see us in 9 other cities and shop tour merch at evolutionofasnake.com.
And that's on period.
That's
on period. Now that we're at like one of the last episodes that we have to record before the tour, I feel like we have it down pat, the cup shaking. We've only had to do it how many times?
I do it in my sleep.
Yeah.
Get that cup, shake it, fill it up. So, Madeline, if you had to describe this part of the year in one word, what would it be?
Eye-opening.
Eye-opening. Interesting. I would say betrayal.
Oh, period.
Betrayal
No,
and
agree.
eye-opening.
I definitely agree. Betrayal and eye-opening. Eye-opening to the betrayal.
Yeah, period. Exactly. So the thing is, we actually left off on a silly, goofy, fun, light note, which was the flop of You Need to Calm Down. That's where we were. Taylor is performing at the Stonewall Inn, but the smiles are about to disappear. This is in June, the very end of June. We learn via Tumblr.com, a platform Taylor had largely forgotten, but weirdly has always been her preferred method to share important dispatches to us with, that her master recordings had been sold to Scooter Braun from Scott Borchetta. We had all assumed that after Taylor signed with Universal, Taylor and Scott were good because she thanked him in the announcement. I think she even put a picture of him in the post, maybe. So ostensibly, they were on good terms with each other then. Now, I wanted to take a moment for Madeline and I to discuss what we thought at the time of Scooter Braun prior to this event.
I didn't know that he was a manager. I thought that he was one of Justin Bieber's little friends because his name was Scooter Braun. So I always pictured him as being like a kid with a skateboard and like a backwards hat, like skateboarding around in Justin Bieber's entourage. That's literally who I thought he was. I did not know
Anyone
him.
who is called Scooter is not a real person.
No, he was a child to me. I was like, he's 18. Gotta be.
Scooter and his sibling Tricycle. I mean, it's nonsensical. We shouldn't be doing it. We should have known that from the name that he was trouble. I knew only at this point that he had very overworked Justin Bieber. Like I knew that he was very demanding as a manager, and that's kind of all that I knew about him. He was very involved in like Ariana, obviously. Miley had her ties to him. Demi had just signed with him as well, which I think everyone was kind of like, okay, maybe this will save the Demi Lovato career. Spoiler alert, didn't.
It didn't work.
Didn't work. So alongside a screenshot of an Instagram post by Justin Bieber on FaceTime with Scooter Braun and Kanye West during Snakegate, Taylor wrote, For years, I asked, pleaded for a chance to own my own work. Instead, I was given an opportunity to sign back up to Big Machine Records and earn one album back at a time, one for every new one I turned in. I walked away because I knew once I signed that contract, Scott Borchetta would sell the label, thereby selling me and my future. I had to make the excruciating choice to leave behind my past, music I wrote on my bedroom floor and videos I dreamed up and paid for from the money I earned paying in bars, then clubs, then arenas, then stadiums. Some fun facts about today's news. I learned about Scooter Braun's purchase of my master's as it was announced to the world. All I could think about was the incessant, manipulative bullying I've received at his hands for years, like when Kim Kardashian orchestrated an illegally recorded snippet of a phone call to be leaked, and then Scooter got his two clients together to bully me online about it. See photo. Or when his client Kanye West organized a revenge porn music video which strips my body naked. Now Scooter has stripped me of my life's work that I wasn't given an opportunity to buy. Essentially, my musical legacy is about to lie in the hands of someone who tried to dismantle it. This is my worst case scenario. This is what happens when you sign a deal at 15 to someone for whom the term loyalty is clearly just a contractual concept. And when that man says music has value, he means its value is beholden to men who had no part in creating it. She really cooked him there. She got him. She really got him.
I
When
haven't
I
read
left
this in a
my
while.
when I left my masters in Scott's hands, I made peace with the fact that eventually he would sell them. Never in my worst nightmares did I imagine the buyer would be Scooter. Anytime Scott Borchetta had heard the word Scooter Braun escape my lips, it was when I was either crying or trying not to. He knew what he was doing. They both did, controlling a woman who didn't want to be associated with them in perpetuity. That means forever. Thankfully, I am now signed to a label that believes I should own anything I create. Thankfully, I left my past in Scott's hand and not my future. And hopefully, young artists or kids with musical dreams will read this and learn about how to better protect themselves in a negotiation. You deserve to own the art you make. I will always be proud of my past work, but for a healthier option, Lover will be out August 23rd. Sad and grossed out, heartbroken emoji, Taylor.
I'm quiet. I'm literally silent.
This was
It's
the
worse
third
than I
plane.
remember. I even skimmed it earlier today, and I was just like, "Yeah, I've read this, I know what it's saying." And I was like, I kind of forgot some of the finer details of that. I forgot about the part where you can earn your music back one album at a time. I forgot
Sick,
about that. It's
perverted.
literally sick and twisted and demented. It's one of the
Even
most
as he
effed up
knew
things. Yeah.
he was gonna sell it. I guess it would be one thing if he was intending to stay at the label and execute that deal, but clearly he was looking for a way out. He didn't want to have Big Machine anymore, and he wanted to sell it. I think there's so many question marks, and we'll go on to discover them, but, like, there are holes missing in this story from all the sides,
Mhm.
but the part that's missing from Taylor's side that I am curious about is this incessant and manipulative bullying for years. It seems as though behind the scenes, Taylor really was railing against having any involvement with any of his projects for so long. And I feel like she's only mentioned things that the public already knew about, like the famous music video and the Snakegate stuff. I really wonder. I believe that something worse has been going on behind the scenes that she chose not to share for whatever reason. And that's why I feel like Scooter Braun is the devil.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because I remember kind of being surprised at her mention of like this incessant bullying that's been going on for years. Meanwhile, I thought Scooter Braun was nobody, nothing,
You thought he
a
was a
loser on the
bike.
side of the road. And I was clocked in. I was Swifting. I was clocked in. I feel like I would have known about that, but obviously there was something going on that we didn't know.
It was very surprising, and I think, having been a Swiftie for so long at this point, I remember feeling really personally upset that Scott would do this to Taylor because it felt like everything we'd been taught about their relationship and their dynamic and what he did for her was kind of a lie, and it felt like a betrayal for the fans too.
It definitely was because he was somebody who was like, we would talk about Scott Borchetta the same way that we would talk about like Andrea or any of the members of the
Yeah.
agency. Like he was a character in like the Taylor Swift cinematic universe, and he was somebody that we kind of thought highly of. I mean, just to put it into perspective, there were girls who were buying music has value merch because they, looked up, I don't, respected Scott Borchetta and the label so much because that was the label that their favorite artist was on. So like he was very much like a part of a lot of people's like lexicons, girls lexicons
Mhm.
specifically for a very long time. And it was pretty shocking that this would and did happen and that he would do something like that to Taylor because I always viewed him as like maybe like a familial male figure in her life. Not quite
Yeah,
like a
they're
father figure, but like
a paternal-ish,
yeah.
like a godfather kind of
Yeah.
situation, someone that was entrusted by her parents to take care of her almost, and the sense of betrayal was large. So we were sort of under the impression that Universal Music at the time, I remember this, we thought that Universal was going to buy Big Machine and that Taylor would then have her master recordings. And that was not the case. Meanwhile, Scooter Braun, while this is happening and Taylor is saying, "You bullied me and I hate you," he is out here on Main celebrating these events as though it's some sort of like victory. And this is why I will never ever be able to empathize with him or sympathize or understand his side, because before the Taylor army snapped back, he was throwing dirt on her grave. He was like digging the shovel in and like helping people celebrate this achievement that she had already made very clear she was not happy about. So it's a bit convoluted how the sale happened, but this is kind of what we know. Scooter Braun's company, Ithaca Holdings, with financial backing from a private equity firm called the Carlyle Group, acquired Scott Borchetta's Big Machine label group for over $300 million. The deal included Big Machine's record label, its music publishing arm, and the master recordings of several major artists. To put it into perspective, the label was worth maybe, I think, like less than $50 million without Taylor's masters. So this was definitely to buy
Mm.
Taylor's masters. That was the purpose of it. Borchetta remained CEO of Big Machine and took a minority stake in Ithaca, while Carlyle retained a minority share in the combined company. And the acquisition expanded Scooter Braun's portfolio to include a significant catalog of country and pop music, and it integrated Big Machine's operations with his existing ventures in artist management and music publishing. So it was kind of like him trying to consolidate as much power as he could to extend his scope of influence on the music industry. And it does not surprise me that he went after Taylor Swift's life work in order to do that. And then this revolting article comes out of the two of them smiling in front of a liquor cabinet, outlining the number that was paid for the label, $300 million. And here's what Scooter Braun had to say about it. "The idea of Scott and I working together is nothing new. We've been talking about it since the beginning of our friendship," Braun said in a statement. "I reached out to him when I saw an opportunity. After many conversations, realized our visions were aligned. He's built a brilliant company full of iconic songs and artists. Who wouldn't want to be part of that? By joining together, we will create more opportunities for artists than ever before by giving them the support and the tools to go after whatever dreams they wish to pursue." Borchetta added in a statement, "Scooter and I have been very aligned with big vision brings big results from the very first time we met in 2010. Since then, I have watched him build an incredible and diverse company that is a perfect complement to the Big Machine label group. Our artist first spirit and combined roster of talent, executives, and assets is now a global force to be reckoned with. This is a very special day and the beginning of what is sure to be a fantastic partnership and historic run." Interesting how it's artist first and Taylor Swift, who is responsible for like 95% of this sale, is not mentioned by name.
Well, it's also really interesting how none of these things have come to fruition. Now that we're now that we're in 2025, we can say, was it a fantastic partnership and a historic run? No.
Did it did it
Did you get the
assert
girl?
Scooter
Did you get the
Braun's
job?
global dominance?
Nope.
No. None of what
Mm-mm.
you speak of has come
Divorced,
to pass.
divorced, broke, put out on his. Justin Bieber wants nothing to do with him. Ariana Grande wants
Fired.
nothing to do with him. Not even Demi Lovato wanted him.
Mm-mm.
It's just
When
kind of
when Demi
juicy.
jumped ship, it's really over for you. That's when
Yeah.
it's really over
It's
for
just
you.
kind of delicious how everything works out, isn't it, ladies? Isn't it?
And as you'll see, he really did it to himself by the way that he was conducting himself throughout this sale. And you would think that as a good businessman, you would do your due diligence and figure out if the person whose work you're buying, I don't know, hates you. And if so, maybe try and like rectify that before it happens. Basically, as soon as she posts this, Scooter has prepared his minions to come crawling out of the woodwork. It's really crazy how he thought he was going to win this one by force of having other people come out. It's also really interesting how he had the attack dogs literally on standby to do damage control when the news broke. If you had no idea that Taylor was this objectionable to the sale of her work, why were you rallying the troops?
Yeah, that's what I'm kinda saying. I feel like he really thought he was thinking in his head, "I'm gonna take her down. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
win.
I've
I'm
got
going
her.
to trounce her, and she's not gonna be able to overcome this." But,
Her star
again, it's
power, Tay Voodoo. Her
no.
star power might be bigger, but I can get my combined star power
Right.
to crush her. Justin Bieber, in response to Taylor's Tumblr post, had this to say: "For you to take it to social media and get people to hate on Scooter isn't fair. What were you trying to accomplish by posting that blog? Seems to me like it was to get sympathy. You also knew that in posting that, your fans would go and bully Scooter. I feel like the only way to resolve conflict is through communication. So banter back and forth online, I don't believe solves anything. I'm sure Scooter and I would love to talk to you and resolve any conflict, pain, or any feelings that need to be addressed. Neither Scooter nor I have anything negative to say about you. We truly want the best for you. Shut up." Who asked?
Nobody asked for Justin to chime in. He really was for a long time. We could I don't even wanna get into the reasons why, but he was for a long time like a Scooter Braun, like, guard dog.
Minion.
He was a minion. And this is nothing. This whole statement is absolutely
No, it's
nothing.
legitimately nothing. It's just another counterattack by Scooter. It says nothing. It doesn't raise any good or valid points. It, I mean, Justin Bieber, nobody asked. What do you know about conflict resolution and communication as well? I'd like to know. Selena Gomez says,
Nothing. Selena Gomez
how does
says
it feel to
absolutely
be
not a damn
forgotten?
thing. I'm so sick of that same old love. Thank you.
That's on
Yep.
period. Haley Bieber then chimed in and said that Scooter and Justin were gentlemen.
Who said that?
And Cara and Cara Delevingne got her. She replied to the comment, said, "Gentlemen," and tagged them both. "You must be bored. I wish you spent less time sticking up for men and more time trying to understand women and respecting their valid reactions. As a married man, you should be lifting women up instead of tearing them down when you're threatened. I'm not sure you actually understand what an apology is. This issue that Taylor is talking about is far more than a picture of you and her, and you know that. As you said, you haven't spoken to her in years, which means you definitely don't understand the situation. I do. Take a step back and try to learn from this. We should all be on the same team." End of story, kissy emoji.
Cooked him. No notes. No
That is
notes.
the one great thing Cara Delevingne has ever done.
She really got him on smack cam.
And Hailey
The
Bieber too. What
the
are you doing
minions
chiming in?
the minions were coming out from every single crevice of the earth at this point for
Mhm.
either Scooter or Taylor. I was enjoying it. I remember being like, "This is the good stuff."
I was clapping and
Yeah.
cheering. I mean, it was also like the house was on fire in the Swiftie fandom at the time, but we were all aligned in a common goal, and that's a beautiful
Mhm.
place to be. That doesn't happen so often
No.
anymore. We were all aligned in the mission that Scooter Braun, you will pay. You will pay dearly for this. And I'm proud of us because we achieved that.
We did. We achieved
A
it
pat on
tenfold.
the back to
Yep.
us.
We did it. We did it, girls.
Of course, Demi Lovato chimes in from the Chili's toilet on her bathroom break. "I have dealt with bad people in this industry, and Scooter is not one of them. He's a good man. Personally, I'm grateful he came into my life when he did. Please stop dragging people or bullying them. There's enough hate in this world as it is. Oh, shut up."
But she didn't take it to Capitol Hill, you noticed that?
Yeah, I didn't see
Let's
her.
put
Get
it
back in the
there, take it to
basement, Poot.
Capitol Hill.
Enough from you. Enough from you. And, enemies of the state who posted effusively about Scooter Braun include Sia, flop, Justin Bieber, flop, Demi Lovato, flop, many industry people. Casey Musgraves liked a shady post by Yale Cohen. It has to be read to be believed. This is Scooter's wife. "I have never been one for a public airing of laundry, but when you attack my husband, here we go." You girl,
My
you
man!
really
My man!
thought,
My
mm-mm, my man syndrome
man!
delusions.
Yeah.
"Let's start with Taylor Swift. Whoa, then let's get the facts straight. You were given the opportunity to own your masters. You passed. Interesting that the man you're so grossed out by believed in you more than you believe in
What does
yourself."
that
And
mean?
this is where she needs to get sent to the electric chair. What are you even talking about?
That
What are
doesn't
you
mean
talking about?
anything.
He wanted to buy her life's work, so that means that he believes in her more than she believes in herself. "Your dad is a shareholder and was notified, and Big Machine label Scott Borchetta personally told you before this came out. So no, you didn't find out with the world. And girl, who are you to talk about bullying? The world has watched you collect and drop friends like wilted flowers. My husband is anything but a bully. He spent his life standing up for people and the causes that he believes in. Beyond that, it's easy to see the point of putting this out was to get people to bully him. You are supposed to be a role model, but continue to model bullying. He's a manager, not God. He cannot control the actions of other humans, even ones he manages. Don't blame him because Kim caught you in a lie. It's embarrassing, I know, but adults own up to their mistakes. We learn and grow from them. We don't divert blame and blur the lines of reality to suit our needs. What you haven't seen is what happens behind closed doors, that he has supported and stood up for you when he has challenged his clients to be kind or be quiet, when he's reached an olive branch out to you on multiple occasions. Scooter was so excited to work and build with you. How embarrassing this temper tantrum is because you didn't get your way. He believes in and supports you. I hope that you can learn to love and believe in yourself the way my husband does. Lastly, if you think he can control his clients, please control your fans. Leave our personal life and the kids out of this. You don't understand yet what line that crosses, but one day you will. And I hope you have the dignity, class, and kindness to leave your fans out of this and have an open discussion. Tumblr can't fix this. A phone call can. This is
She's
the worst
evil.
one.
No, she's evil. This was evil. This was and it's like
She's
it,
evil.
her viewpoint comes from inside the inner workings of Scooter Braun. It's like her viewpoint is all Scooter's viewpoint. So it's like she's not even attempting, not even for a second, to have even an ounce of empathy for Taylor or anything that's happened to her. And this like condescending tone about you don't understand what it's like to have a husband and kids, honey. I know exactly when women say that to other women. You know, if they say this on the housewives all the time. Maybe if you had a man, maybe if you
Yeah.
had a family, that's the way.
Mhm.
That's like a very big punching down thing that women will do to other
A
women. And it's like,
misogynistic.
and meanwhile, you're married to the devil.
The
So
devil!
worry
The
about
demon.
that. Worry about
Yeah,
that,
who you
my
will soon
friend.
divorce. And also,
Yes.
if it's very contradictory that, like you said, Madeline, her entire worldview of Taylor is based off of what Scooter has told her. So if Scooter is her number one supporter and champion and believer in her, why is she also a manipulative bully?
Open the
Hmm?
case.
Does
Good
that sound
wives
like
always
words
know.
spoken by someone who
Good
believes?
wives always know.
Well, she got her karma and her comeuppance too. Again, every tongue that rises against Taylor Swift shall fall.
And
This
and
one really
it's
gagged me because it was so nasty and so delusional.
well, the claws were out. And it was based on nothing but the voices in her head.
And you know what? She deserved whatever happened to her after this. I don't care how many
It's what
mean
she
messages she got.
deserves.
It's what she deserves.
Mm.
And you know what? Casey Musgraves liking that is crazy.
Well, she's always been a private hater. She pretends like she's
She's a
not.
Tay hater.
And then she logs on and she says she posts soon you'll get better screen cap. Wow, this is an amazing song, Taylor. What are you doing here?
Mere months later, after she's a manipulative bully, she wrote the path that you followed. So you really should be thanking her on your knees. You should not be liking posts by
My
Yale Khan.
bare hands paved their paths.
Mhm.
Say it. Tell
Period.
them.
Period. Then Scott Borchetta chimes in, and this is where the story thickens a little bit. So it's time for some truth. In regard to a post earlier today from Taylor, it's time to set some things straight. Taylor's dad, Scott, was a shareholder in Big Machine Records, LLC. We first alerted all of the shareholders on Thursday, June 20th, for an official shareholders call scheduled on Tuesday, June 25th. On the June 25th call, the shareholders were made aware of the pending deal with Ithaca Holdings and had 3 days to go over all the details of the proposed transaction. We then had a final call on Friday, June 28th, in which the transaction passed with a majority vote and 3 of the 5 shareholders voting yes, with 92% of the shareholders vote. Out of courtesy, I personally texted Taylor at 9:06 p.m. Saturday, June 29th, to inform her prior to the story breaking on the morning of Sunday, June 30th, so she could hear it directly from me. So you gave her a 12-hour heads up after how many years of working together. I guess it might somehow be possible that her dad, Scott, 13 management lawyer, Jay, someone, and 13 management executive and Big Machine LLC shareholder, Frank Bell, didn't say anything to Taylor over the prior 5 days. I think you're actually not allowed to do stuff when it comes to like board members and pending
Hmm.
business transactions. I think that's actually, you can't talk about
Right.
that, but I digress. I guess it's possible she might not have seen my text, but I truly doubt that she woke up to the news when everyone else did. It's interesting how they doubled down on that point and not on the wider point about like why did this happen in the first place?
Well,
They
here's
want
the
to
thing is
just
that
pick holes
you
in the story rather
right,
than that.
you wanna squabble over 12 hours is what you wanna
Mhm.
do, and it's like, it doesn't even matter because I feel like that 12 hours is completely pointless. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I found out
Yeah.
12 hours, it doesn't matter if you told me 24 hours. It's barely any
Mhm.
time to process it or understand it, so, even if it was true that he did text her and it was 12 hours, that's still barely enough time to even understand what's going on. So
What they're trying to do there, I think, is make Taylor look as though she deliberately manipulated the framing of the situation to make herself look like a victim. And to a certain extent, like perhaps that is in fact what she did, but that does not take away from what actually was done here, which is the crime. The way that Taylor phrased it, if it was for dramatic effect, she's a writer, who cares? The substance of what happened, you're not arguing with. So, I mean,
well,
it was deflection 101.
this is also, like, the perfect thing to do at this period in time. Like, yes, reputation happened, but she still wasn't vindicated. That doesn't happen until, like, 2020 when the call
Mm-mm,
comes out.
no.
And by the way, when it's burned, they're shrieking. When the truth comes out, it's quiet. That's exactly what happened. So they
And
didn't
it's not
this
like she was riding high in the world. This was after Me and You
no.
Need to Calm Down, which were really kind of made fun of. Lover was not exactly looking like it was going to be a big smash hit. So this was the opportune time for them to do a deal like this.
Right, and they knew that, and they knew exactly what to say to get people to turn against her because Scott knows all of the worst ways to hurt her. He really does. He knows all of the lowest points to go. He knows what people have always said about her. He knows what people think about her. He knows the things that are going to hurt her the most, and he was using those deliberately.
It's evil. It's
It's
evil.
evil. I mean, what do you want me to say?
The morning, so that we'll continue with Scott's letter. Taylor and I remained on very good terms when she told me she wanted to speak to other record companies. This is when her contract came up for renewal and see what was out there for her. I never got in her way and I wished her well. The morning that the new Taylor and Universal Music announcement was going to be made, she texted me shortly before to let me know the announcement was coming in a few minutes. As we both posted on our socials, we saluted each other and cheered each other on. Taylor had every chance in the world to own not just her master recordings, but every video, photograph, everything associated to her career. She chose to leave. As to her comments about being in tears or close to it anytime my new partner, Scooter Scooter Braun's name was brought up. I certainly never experienced that. Was I aware of some prior issues between Taylor and Justin Bieber? Yes. But there was also times when Taylor knew that I was close to Scooter, and Scooter was a very good source of information for upcoming album releases, tours, and I'd reach out to him for information on our behalf. Scooter was never anything but positive about Taylor. He called me directly about Manchester to see if Taylor would participate. She declined. He called
Why
me
bring
directly
that
to see if
up?
Taylor, well, this is also evil. He called me directly to see if Taylor wanted to participate in the Parkland March. She declined. Scooter has always been and will continue to be a supporter and honest custodian for Taylor and her music. You're just bringing that up to make her look bad. You want to make her
It's
look
just
evil.
evil. It's just
Yeah, you
plain
want to make her
evil.
look like she doesn't care about terrorist attacks and she doesn't care about school shootings.
And
Deflecting.
anybody can see through this evil manipulation if you have like half a brain in your head.
You would think.
You would
You
think.
would think,
You would
and
think.
you would hope. So then he posts an exchange between him and Taylor where Taylor sends him a nice message basically saying, "I'm signing with this new label. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for me. I really appreciate you." He then congratulates her on Lover. And but this is months later, right? It's not directly after she sent him the text about her record deal. This is the night before the announcement of the new deal with Scooter Braun comes out. "I wanted to pass along to you the same courtesy that you passed along to me. Tomorrow morning, the Wall Street Journal will announce that I am entering into a merger acquisition with Scooter Braun and Ithaca Holdings. The move will give us more pop culture superpower than ever before, and I'm so excited about the future. I want you to know that I will continue to be the proud custodian of your previous works and will continue to keep you and your team abreast of all future plans for releases of your work." Do you see how that works? He's immediately being like, "You don't have control. It's mine now."
I'm going to release it now. I'm going to decide what happens with it and I'm going to decide what to do with it. Nothing
Surely
but the
he
best,
knew that Taylor
Scott.
owned the publishing. Like, what did he think? I really think they thought they were going to browbeat Taylor into just letting them do whatever they wanted.
And it's like, haven't you been dealing with this girl for the past 15 years and you don't understand that that's not the way that her mind works or how she operates? How dumb do you have to be?
You know her or you don't know her, because
Yeah.
she was severely underestimated, like really underestimated by everyone involved here. And she has more restraint than I do because I would be throwing hands at this point. And of course, we do also have our Tay Warriors chiming in. We have Selena Gomez, we have Halsey, Brendan Urie, Joseph Kahn, Todrick Hall, Kelsey Ballerini, Martha Hunt, Ed Sheeran, Maren Morris, JoJo, Kelly Clarkson all chime in. Hashtag we stand with Taylor trends on Twitter. Kelly Clarkson even tweets and suggests that Taylor re-record her masters. You see how women support women. There definitely were people coming to her defense, but the Scooter Braun slander machine was in full effect.
Yeah, they were doing moves. They were doing massive moves all the time. I do remember this period of time being kind of intense. And I
Hmm.
definitely remember waking up every day to the new slew of abuse being hurled at Taylor from some D-lister from the
Hmm.
crevices of hell. I
Hmm.
definitely remember that like being part and parcel with like the Lover era and the rollout, which is unfortunate. But
I personally never fell for any of the strange
ooh,
rebuttals. That never rang to
mm-mm,
me as true
mm-mm.
because her work is just something that Taylor's not going to lie about. Why would she lie about that? And she's been proven right. So,
No, and especially when that picture came out of them, like, that ridiculous magazine cover where they're, like, posited as kings
oh,
with
I
crowns
hate
on their
it.
head, and I was like, "See, now I know you're evil. You see how that
Hmm.
works?
You
You
see how
see how
Taylor's
that
name isn't even
works?"
mentioned in that article and you're bragging about how you own the world? If I was a man, then I'd be the man, truly. Actually, this was the best time for the man to come out. The man really
I
should have come out. That should have been the next single expeditiously.
Oh, and I cheered. And I cheered when the
Hmm.
man did come out. That's why I liked the man so much when it first came out because of the implications.
Hmm. We needed it.
We
We
needed
had
it.
been needing that. All right, so then we get into July, and amidst all of this chaos, we are missing one very crucial Tay warrior by the name of Karlie Kloss. She has been laughing it up on Instagram, posting selfies all the way through this public blowback, and her comments are filled with "Speak up for Taylor." In fact, at this point, we shouldn't have been surprised because guess who Carly's manager was at the time? Girls, Scooter Braun, the devil himself. In an Instagram post from the year before, Scooter called her family. I always
I bet.
wondered where the rumor that she fed personal info to Scooter came from. And guess who? Perez Hilton. And guess who the source of the rumor was? Ashley Avignon. I don't know how to say her last name. I think that's right.
I think it's right.
Noted Tay warrior, noted reliable Tay source, one of the closest people to Taylor. She liked several posts from Taylor update accounts to prove it, and that essentially said that Carly fed this information to Scooter Braun to help him take advantage of a deal for her master recordings. So Carly's dead. Jot that down.
And that's why she was in the 300 level at the Eras Tour, and that's why she bowed out before 1989 because she knew what she did. She was the crook who was caught. But what's interesting to me is that she you heard Evermore, you heard Closure, you heard I forgot that you existed. You heard all these songs and you decided I'm going to go to Taylor's tour. What
What in the
level of
world
delusion
would
are you
possess
operating
you?
at? In the nosebleeds like she was ashamed with her hair dyed.
Even even just with the idea of other people are gonna see me and make fun of me, why wouldn't you just consider that angle? If you're not
Maybe
gonna
she thought that
consider the, "This is my friend that hates me," what like, would you go to your friend's birthday party that, like, hates you and excommunicated you from your life? No.
no, not unless I was
This
gonna
is
make a
stalker
real
behavior.
yeah, not unless I was trying to, like, make a grand gesture and, like, make an effort to be friends again, but that I think that this is probably a betrayal that Taylor will never let go of. I mean, she said it, "I don't need your closure."
Mm-mm, nor should she. Nor
No,
should she forgive her. She really
she's the crook
shouldn't.
who was caught. She's the crook who was caught.
Taylor spends the 4th of July notably, again, not at her Rhode Island palace, but in St. Thomas with her besties. On
Mm,
July 10th, Taylor performs for Amazon Prime Day at Madeline Cella.
I should have been there.
It
You
is a
know what I would have
co-headlining
given to
event
have been there?
between SZA, Taylor, Dua Lipa, and Becky G.
Many people were there and I should have been there. The thing that
Mhm.
makes me really upset about this performance is that by all means, I should be over the moon that this exists, but it's always been kind of sullied by the fact that I think SZA had a really bad time. I think she
Yeah.
felt like nobody was there for her and like something was wrong with the production and something was wrong with the performance and she didn't get any pictures with Taylor or the girls and she just left because she was not happy with how it went and that makes me so upset because like this was Madeline Cella and yet where are the pictures? Where's the evidence? It's been scrubbed from the record, but thank
We need
God
the
Tay SZA
receipts,
is
the
real.
proof.
Tay
It's real.
SZA exists whether people acknowledge it or not because they always take pics together whenever they're in the same room, so I stay happy.
This was I would say overall like a pretty good performance for Taylor of the other Lover performances that we're coming off the heels of. Wango Tango, notably, this is certainly far better than that. I really hated this outfit. It is a long sleeved purple sequin romper with black stripes, a zip up front, and a belted waist.
It's giving, like, high-end it's like
It's
Sheree's
giving
workout
Jane
line.
Fonda.
It's giving
Yeah.
jogger. She by Sheree,
She by
anybody.
Sheree
But, you know,
outfit.
what I did like about the outfit was the shoes. I did really
The
like the
shoes were
shoes.
good. Yes, the
Yeah.
shoes were good, but everything else about it,
It
it
was
also
kind of a
didn't
mess.
fit right. It wasn't flattering. I didn't like it. Her set list is, of course, opening with number one worldwide hit "Me," then "Blank Space," then "I Knew You Were Trouble," "Love Story," "Welcome to New York" on guitar, "Delicate" sung directly to Joe, like goo goo gaga eyes at him. She's looking up at him in the audience. It's a really uncomfortable performance, actually.
I feel like it's like I'm about to go on my, I'm doing my pop diva thing again, but really it's all about
My
you.
man, my
Is
man,
it?
my man, my
Is it?
man. You know why she had to do that? Because she was immediately gonna play Style right after.
Oh, well, I mean, come on.
She was like, "Well, okay, yeah, yeah, you know." Then she did "You Need to Calm Down and Shake It Off." She alerts us then that she will be going on Instagram Live. She really liked Instagram Live for this era. That was like her chosen mode of communication. And Taylor Nation posts a video of an arrow hitting a target that says 5 from the "You Need to Calm Down" music video. Okay, thanks.
And nobody said anything.
Track 5. We've been
Track
new.
5. We've
Thanks for
been
spoiling
new.
the surprise. July 23rd, Taylor goes live. In about 13 minutes, she runs us through a couple of things. Firstly, she looks gorgeous. Unpopular opinion, maybe, but I kind of like it when her hair is bright blonde.
Yeah, I think she looks good.
I
I
think it
like
looks
that kind of
good.
summery. It's like summery and light, which is
Very
perfect for Lover.
lover,
Yeah.
very lover
Yeah.
esque. Not Bleachella, but a little lemon in her hair under the
Yeah.
sun. A little bit of that.
Mhm.
She announces that track 5, which is not a single, just a song that she loves and wants to share, is called The Archer, and it's coming out. She informs us of the extremely obvious references to it in the music video that we
That
already
we
knew.
already knew. Thank you.
Thank you for the
I
continued.
couldn't figure it out.
It's not an Easter egg hunt, it's an Easter egg parade in my face. That really is what it
Yeah.
was. She also shares with us that she got 7 undeserved VMA nominations for Me and You Need to Calm Down and begs for us to vote. Girl, we don't want to.
Can
You
you
don't
imagine
deserve it.
Taylor begging for us to vote for something? She knew.
She knew. She was like, "There's no number 1. I'm certainly not getting a
I gotta
Grammy.
ask them to unionize.
We need more
Yeah.
VMAs for the bathroom. We need more toilet paper holders. Come on."
Mhm.
And we also learned there are going to be 4 deluxe editions of Lover called the Lover Diaries, each with 30 scanned pages from her personal diaries, 120 in total across all the versions, with photos, doodles, lyrics, and lyrics including the original lyrics to All Too Well, and a space to write your own reflections. I
I was
really
really
liked this
excited about this.
concept.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
upset. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait," which is funny.
What treasures could await
Yeah,
us in
what
these
treasures? I
diaries?
really thought she was gonna be revealing things to me. I mean, a couple of nuggets,
No.
sure, but, like,
I enjoyed reading them as a
I did.
stan, but if you were just
Mhm.
like a normal person reading these, you'd be like, "I don't care. Why do we care
I
about this?"
DGAF, yeah.
We did get This Summer Is the Apocalypse, which is iconic though.
Oh, it's so classic. Yeah, so there's nuggets, there's gems, but it's
Mhm.
not nearly as revealing as I delusionally thought that it would be.
We actually
So,
could do a whole episode just going through the Lover Diary
yeah.
entries because there's plenty to mine for people who are just focused on the minutia of Taylor's life, which is us. So if you'd like to see that episode, we may do that. We couldn't fit it into this one. But she says that this is a retrospective project, 13 years on from her debut. She also talks about how she got 500,000 signatures for the Equality Act and encourages fans to keep contacting their senators and signing. Benjamin Button makes a few chaotic appearances here. She says she's on set for a music video, but can't say for what. The man, and she should have gone off set.
She should have left and stopped recording it just right then.
Mhm.
But it
Actually,
is
I realized she was actually on set for Lover. I
oh,
forgot that Lover even had a music video. That's what she was
and
on
that
set
actually
for.
it makes a lot more sense because of the way her hair looked. I was like,
Mhm.
"Now, hold on. What about
It
the
would have been a bald
prosthetics?"
cap.
But I think it's really interesting that she referred to Lover as a retrospective project 13 years on from her debut. Of course, she was thinking about that because she's thinking about her old work, of course, but it's like Midnight's is way more true to what she's describing here,
Oh,
I would
yeah,
say. Yeah.
as a
I don't know if there's
retrospective.
nothing retrospective about Lover to me.
Well, no, and if there was, we should have been panicked.
Yeah.
Wasn't exactly flattering. So
Yeah.
then The Archer comes out. It is co-written and produced with longtime collaborator Jack Antonoff. It was crafted in just 2 hours, we can tell, and features a minimalist dream pop soundscape built on echoing 80s style synthesizers and insistent kick drums. Though it wasn't pushed as a radio single, The Archer debuted at number 69 and peaked at number 38 on the Hot 100. It also charted in the top 25 in other countries. Critics praised the song's emotional rawness and introspective lyrics, touching on insecurity, identity, and duality of being both the archer and the prey, with many calling it a standout track from Lover. Publications like Slant and Stereogum named it one of the best songs of 2019, and fans quickly embraced it as a cult favorite. Pitchfork said the subject matter is interesting, but the production is boring. So, what were your thoughts on The Archer when it came out, Madeline?
I didn't like it. I was booing. I didn't like it. And here's what I really didn't like about it. I didn't like the production. So this is Jack going to the gallows for me. I liked the writing. I really liked what she was thinking about. I liked the insights because I think there's a lot of insights into it that are a little bit deeper than she ever got on Reputation. So I liked that part of it, but I hate the production of The Archer. I think that it could have been so much better, and because of the way it sounds, I just don't like it.
It never takes off. This is the problem. It
No, it's
feels like
yeah,
it's revving up to go
agitating.
somewhere and it
Yeah.
just never goes anywhere. I remember when it came out, I felt so relieved just
Not
because I was
me.
like, okay, there's a writer in there. I wasn't like in love with the song, but I was like, okay, there's something on this album that is not for children. That's not for The Secret Life of Pets too. And there was one specific line that leapt out at me that's still one of my favorite Taylor lines. I wake in the night, I pace like a ghost, the room is on fire, invisible smoke. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl doing her writerly nonsense, and we needed to see that because it was looking grim at this point, okay? And the noise for Lover generally was dying down. People were not really looking forward to or excited by it, especially because the drama was kind of overclipsing
Yeah. I have nothing good to say about The Archer. I remember
it.
thinking distinctly, like, "Oh, I'm gonna hate this album." That's what I thought because we had gotten Me,
Mm.
You Need to Calm Down on The Archer, and I was like, "And there's no food for me. Where's the where's the
What
Madeline food?"
the hell was she thinking with that? 3 songs, and those are the 3 songs? You couldn't even like, again, Cruel Summer just languishing in the back. I really, really don't understand the strategy of this record, but more for us later, because Cruel Summer got a victory tour unlike no other. Single-handedly saved the Lover era.
There's so much about Lover that's like it all of it was wrong at the time. And now all of it, like with the Eras tour and with like everything the way that it went, and Lover being one of her is it the highest selling Taylor record?
It's or streaming at least, yeah. Mhm.
And at the time, it was Cricket.
Well, she recontextualized it.
She did, and it worked. She's a
Mhm.
genius. I never
It
said
worked.
anything bad.
She
She's a
made it the
genius.
Eras Tour
Yep,
album. That's what
she
she
did.
did, and that was a very smart thing to do because it
Mhm.
was not a
It
slate in and
saved
of
it.
its own
Yeah.
right, and no one can
Mhm.
tell us that it was. So we also learned that Taylor's nominated for the inaugural Icon Award at the Teen Choice Awards. More garbage for my utility room.
Paperweights,
Thank
paperweights.
you. Her VMA nominations are Song of the Year, Best Pop Video, Video for Good, Best Direction, Best Editing, Best Art Direction, Best Power Anthem, Song of the Summer, and Me gets one nomination for Best Collaboration and also for cinematography. Undeserved.
Yeah, I'm quiet.
Every
But
last one of them.
and yet there she was, girls. Front and center.
I bet that Video for Good was a category invented for her this year.
Oh, well,
I
they were
bet it
like, we
was.
have to give Taylor something. I mean, if she doesn't show up, we get no views.
We don't get anything if she doesn't show up. So then her Capital One partnership debuts and Idgeball. The ads are actually really cute. Taylor's like a little bartender. She's a milkshake maker, a diner
They're
waitress.
cute.
Love
Yeah.
that. She was like cosplaying as a real person.
It was very cute. I like the one with there's too much whipped cream. Or
Mhm.
she overpours the wine and then she takes it. I was like, yeah, that's her.
Reminds me of her Apple Music commercials, the treadmill.
Yes. Oh,
Very
well,
similar.
I definitely prefer the Capital One commercials. And of course I loved the Eras one. That was I
She
love that
loves
commercial.
physical comedy. She
She
loves
does.
physical comedy.
So she needs to do it more. Sabrina Carpenter is literally eating it left and
Taylor
right.
would be an incredible silent film actress. But it has
Yeah.
to be a silent film. It has to be a silent film. So Taylor is also very much not being cited at this point, but there is lots of boring-ish album promo going on. Release the album. It has been
Release the
literally
tapes.
since April, and we are now in basically August.
I was
You need to come to
miserable.
it was no,
Yeah.
it was so bad.
It
And
was
it was
bad.
like we had nothing fun coming. Like there was no like cute Taylor candids, there was no interviews really. It was just flop after
After
flop after
flop after
flop.
flop.
You need to
It
come
was
down to
scary.
certified platinum.
We don't care.
Congratulations. We don't care.
Let me tell you, we don't care.
Mm-mm. And then she thought, you know what could really help this turn this album campaign right around? The Cats trailer.
Let me just show you what I would look like if I was a cat really quick. And I think you
Look at
guys
my
will like
hairy
it.
titties.
Yeah, aren't you guys gonna like this one?
Aren't you guys wondering where my little cat butthole is?
And speaking about the cats thing, like going through all the Ellen appearances and watching her become the cat lady slowly over time was really, really disheartening. It made her seem so young.
Well, that was the point. It really seems
So
like
young.
that was the
Yeah.
point, and we didn't need
Yeah.
to be doing that. We really didn't need to be doing it.
No.
And not only are we booing at the Cats trailer, the whole world is booing. Flop. Taylor's cat titties instantly become a meme. She's like a weirdly sexual cat. She's like but she was kind of serving facially as a feline, though. I was like, Mama, slay.
There are some good gifs that came out of that. Whatever you
That's
want
all
to
we
call
ever
it.
got.
Whatever you want to call it.
That's all we got. So then the Katy Perry Taylor Swift reconciliation tour kind of continues. On a radio show, Katy explains how she and Taylor reconciled. She said, "It was kind of a process. I sent her a literal olive branch and a note apologizing for my part in all of it. When she started her Reputation tour, I just thought, she was about to embark on something new and big, and she needed support. And truly, as I was finishing mine, the Witness tour, I realized how much we have in common. And maybe there's only 5 other people in the world that can have the same type of conversations and understand where we are coming from, and that we should celebrate our commonality and our friendship and be able to be there for each other." So after that, there was some time in between, but I started seeing her around at different, like at the Oscar party when she was accompanying her boyfriend. And I just went up to her and I was like, "Hey, it's been a long time and I think we've grown up a little bit. I just wanted to say I'm sorry and I'm really here for you and I love you. And, I hope that we can be friends in the future." The way
and,
Taylor
and
had her groveling
grovel to her at the Oscars
at her
party.
feet.
I
And I
bet she
think
was so happy that day.
there was another, I think, encounter where Katy described how, I think it might have been this one, how it ended was Taylor was like, "I need to think about it." Can you imagine? Can you imagine groveling and begging someone for forgiveness for attacking you and then being told, "I need to think about it"?
And she put on that hamburger suit.
And the orange wig and
Yeah, and the
said,
orange wig. It was a
Let's do
humiliation
it.
ritual. Luckily,
Oh,
Katie
it
has been a
was.
hamburger before, so it was no trial or tribulation to her to put on the hamburger, but
This was
still.
a familiar state of being for Katy Perry, but it continues to be humiliating. August, then finally, we're in album release month. This is our first summertime Taylor Swift album release, so I think we were all kind of a little excited about what the potential for that could hold. We start with a bang, with a great shoot. Taylor covers the September issue of Vogue. There are a couple different covers, but the one of her pointing at the camera is my favorite.
That's a great picture. I love that picture. It's so girl boss, and
It's
I
very
feel
lover.
bossed, and I feel
Mhm.
bossed. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm saying, "Give me my orders. Give me my
Yes.
orders, ma'am.
What should I
I'll
get you
prepare the
from
conference meetings."
Starbucks?
She's also in her Hillary Clinton pantsuit era, so there are not one but two pantsuits on this shoot.
Well,
She does one of
yes.
her, and as she should, she's the
Mhm,
man.
mhm.
And she does one of her very few profiles. She had a couple things to clarify before the record came out. Keep in mind that she had really not addressed some of the more pervasive rumors from Snakegate about her political affiliations, her beliefs on LGBT women's rights. Like she actually just hadn't spoke at all about anything that had happened. She had just lovered. She went straight from reputationing to lovering, and it was time to explain. And that's what a lot of the Lover rollout, it seems to me, in this month was about explaining. So the writer describes how a cover Taylor music video is shot. The mood was joyous and laid back, but by the end of the day, I wasn't sure what the vignettes would add up to. There were shoot days and cameos I wouldn't observe. So she's observing you need to calm down.
Right.
For security reasons, the song was never played aloud. The cast wore earbuds. Even the hero shot in which Taylor and Todrick Hall sauntered arm in arm through the dreamscape at golden hour was filmed in near total silence.
What
I
hero
want
shot?
I want to see that's where they're walking together and she does a little slut drop. I want to see that silent clip with no
Oh, I
music
need
in
to
the
see
back.
that
I want to see that,
immediately to
and I want
have
to edit
been.
in the clopping sound.
Or like the clip from like Ellen where somebody's walking up and it's just clap clap
Dun-dun-dun,
clap and
dun-
everybody's silent and it goes to the audience and it's just like people staring like
and Taylor drops.
you need to leave. That was a really good one
I
too.
we need that, and that's
We
what
need
needed
that.
to be said to them.
Yeah.
And I actually can't believe this is how she described "You need to calm down." So she plays it for the writer and says, "This is how it goes. The first verse is about trolls and cancel culture. The second verse is about homophobes and the people picketing our concerts. The third verse is about successful women being pitted against each other. We knew. Self-explanatory."
She was really talking to us like we needed everything explained like we were 5. Like she was doing, let me explain everything to the fans like they're 5. And it's like, come on,
And it was
man.
insulting to those of us that have been doing the math for long enough. There was no more math to be done. She took it away from us. She took it
She
away.
took it from us, and we need that. That's our enrichment.
Mhm. That's all we yeah, that's our
Yeah, that's
enrichment
all we
toy.
have.
She touches on her political awakening. She says, maybe a year or two ago, Todrick and I are in the car, and he asked me, what would you do if your son was gay? The fact that he had to ask me shocked me and made me realize I had not made my position clear or loud enough. She says, if my son was gay, he'd be gay. I don't understand the question. If he was thinking that, I can't imagine what my fans in the LGBT community might be thinking. She goes on to say, it was kind of devastating to realize that I hadn't been publicly clear about that. So the journalist asks her, why get louder about LGBT rights now? Rights are being stripped from basically everyone who isn't a straight white cisgender male, she says. I didn't realize until recently that I could advocate for a community that I'm not a part of. All right? Did everyone hear that? Did everyone hear that? A community that I'm not a part of. It's hard to know how to do that without being so fearful of making a mistake that you just freeze because my mistakes are very loud. When I make a mistake, it echoes through the canyons of the world. It's clickbait and it's part of my life story and it's part of my career arc.
Any
You see how it goes
comments?
back to me? You see how it all comes
Any
back to me?
comments? This little story here. What would you do if your son was gay?
I would love him.
Todrick, why are you putting? You've been friends with her for how long?
You really
And
have
you're
to ask?
just now asking her, what would you do if your son was gay? You thought she was a homophobe,
You
and
did the
yet there
splits
you
with her
were
backstage?
doing the nails for her and everything, and yet
Well,
it's
I
crazy
mean,
to me.
it was good to I guess it was good to get
It
a
was
very
good for
clear
us.
clarification. We wanted to have that,
Well,
so thank you.
thank
It
you
was
for
clear.
that.
It was clear to me after the video, but thank you for explaining it again. When I asked Swift if she tried to get her master's back from Big Machine, her whole body slumps with palpable heaviness. It was either investing in my past or my and other artists' future, and I chose the future. She was devastated.
She was. I think that this. I mean, we know because we've heard My Tears Ricochet, we've heard It's Time to Go, we've heard
Mhm.
all these songs, but at the time it was like everything was so, like, depersonalized because it was all like, "Me, me, 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 me," and Scott's saying this, and Scooter's saying this, and Justin Bieber, and blah, blah, blah. When these moments in the Lover era where you can see that this was, like, really painful for her,
And she was
makes
just
me wanna
trying
kill
not to
myself.
drown. And it must
Yeah.
have been really hard to be out there promoting this like happy go lucky album when you have like
Eh,
active forces in your industry, not only rooting against you, but probably trying to stop this project specifically from succeeding to make a point.
yeah, dark stuff.
Dark stuff. She reflects on sexism in the music industry. She asks the writer asks if she had always been aware of sexism in the industry. She says, "I think about this a lot. When I was a teenager, I would hear people talk about sexism in the music industry and say, I don't see it. I don't understand. Then I realized that was because I was a kid. Men in the industry saw me as a kid. I was a lanky, scrawny, overexcited young girl who reminded them more of their little niece or their daughter than a successful woman in business or a colleague. The second I became a woman in people's perception was when I started seeing it. It's fine to infantilize a girl's success and say, how cute that she's having some hit songs, how cute that she's writing songs. But the second it comes formidable, as soon as I started playing stadiums, when I started to look like a woman, that wasn't as cool anymore. It was like when I started to have songs from Red come out and cross over, like I knew you were trouble and we are never ever getting back together. Those songs are also more assertive than the ones that came before. The angle was different when I started saying, I knew you were trouble when you walked in. Basically, you emotionally manipulated me and I didn't love it. That wasn't fun for me.
She cooked with ease.
She
She
cooked with
cooked with
ease.
ease. Mm,
I think this also says a lot about her relationship with Scott without saying it directly. It was like, I view you as my little niece. I am proud of you. Good job. But as soon as you start to assert yourself, and we know she said before when she tried to start going pop, that was when the resistance started.
right.
I'm sensing a connection here to that dynamic and
Yeah.
relationship.
It's really interesting that the songs that she mentions are "I Knew Your Trouble" and "We Are Never" because you know those were the songs that he had the biggest problem with.
The ones that were the most
Interesting.
pop and the most boy hating.
Mhm.
Um, So she then goes on to ask the writer asks Taylor, I have to wonder if having her songwriting overlooked as her hits were picked apart and scrutinized wasn't the biggest bummer of all. Taylor said, I wanted to say to people, you realize writing songs is an art and a craft and not like an easy thing to do or to do well. People would act like it was a weapon I was using, like it was a cheap, dirty trick. Be careful, bro. She'll write a song about you. Don't stand near her. First of all, that's not how it works. Second of all, find me a time when they say that about a male artist. She was still doing that. She was still doing that. The
Well
Ed Sheeran writes songs. She was still doing that, and
well,
she was still right. She was
and it's
still
still right
right.
today. That's the scary part. They won't learn it.
Mhm.
They won't learn
Mm-mm.
it. Mm-mm.
And she still does it. Much to everyone's chagrin, she still does it. Then the writer gets her to reflect on her cancellation. And Taylor said, an overhaul was in order. I realized I needed to restructure my life because it felt completely out of control. I knew immediately I needed to make music about it because I knew it was the only way I could survive it. It was the only way I could preserve my mental health and also tell the story of what it's like to go through something so humiliating. When you're going through loss or embarrassment or shame, it's a grieving process with so many micro emotions in a day. One of the reasons why I didn't do interviews for Reputation was that I couldn't figure out how I felt hour to hour. Sometimes I felt like all these things taught me something that I could have never learned in a way that didn't hurt as much. 5 minutes later, I'd feel like that was horrible. Why did that have to happen? What am I supposed to take from this other than mass amounts of humiliation? Then 5 minutes later, I'd think, I might be happier than I've ever been. And that's on mental illness.
And then later on she'll have an interview where she goes, "I just feel very sane." Right. It's
Oh,
like the
she
craziest
kills
thing I've
me.
ever read, and I'm very sane.
It
Right.
it really struck me, like, just how much she had been keeping in when she started talking and doing these interviews because she had a lot to say. She had a lot to say.
Yeah, she was cooking.
It took a lot from her, I guess, to not talk about Reputation when it was happening. It was a deliberate choice, but I think it was harder for her than we realized to do because she's an explainer. She doesn't like to be misunderstood. She also talks about why she didn't endorse Hillary Clinton. She says, unfortunately, in the 2016 election, you had a political opponent who was weaponizing the idea of the celebrity endorsement. He was going around saying, I'm a man of the people. I'm for you. I care about you. I just knew I wasn't going to help. And, the summer before that election, all people were saying was, she's calculated. She's manipulative. She's not what she seems. She's a snake. She's a liar. These are the exact same insults people were hurling at Hillary. Would I be an endorsement or would I be a liability? Look, snakes of a feather flock together. Look, the two lying women, the two nasty women, literally millions of people were telling me to disappear. So I disappeared in many senses. I actually really understand what she's saying here.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. It
And she's
literally does,
correct.
like,
That's
she was
exactly
right.
how it would have been received.
Well, so look at what happened when she endorsed Kamala. He said,
Mm.
I hate you." And then we know what happens. Every tongue that rises against Taylor shall
Just
fall.
wait, the
Was
Tay
it a
Voodoo will
failure?
come.
Well, yes, but
um, She goes on to say, "It's so strange trying to be self-aware where you've been cast as this always smiling, always happy America's sweetheart thing, and then having that taken away and realizing it's a great thing that it was taken away because that's extremely limiting." She says, "We're not going to go straight to gratitude with it ever." This she's talking about Snakegate, "But we're going to find a positive aspect to it. We're never going to write a thank you note." That's the right
So then
attitude
what
to have.
so then what's Thank You, Amy?
Well, all this
Blocked her.
time I was building
Mean
something.
something,
There you
and I
go.
can't
She's finding the
believe how
positive.
much you made me heal.
Thank you, Amy. That
Yes.
actually, you're right. That is the thank you note.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy.
Here's what she had to say about Lover. She said that she thinks Lover might be her favorite album yet. There are so many ways in
Delusional.
which this album feels like a new beginning. This album is a love letter to love in all of its maddening, passionate, exciting, enchanting, horrific, tragic, wonderful glory. That's actually Speak Now, but I appreciate the
I
idea.
appreciate the thought.
Mhm.
I appreciate the thought.
Thanks for sharing that with us. She plays the writer The Man and Lover before the album comes out, and we hear our first snippets of the lyrics. Lover is described as a romantic, haunting, waltzy, singer-songwritery nugget, and we get the lyric, "My heart's been borrowed and yours has been blue. All's well that ends well to end up with you."
The
And
gag that I
then
had when I read that cannot be
the
expressed.
the
I
gag.
gagged. I
That's
was
when we
ready. I was like,
knew.
I need it. Yeah. She's back. Okay, I can live.
I
Okay.
also knew that the title track Lover was gonna kind of cook. That always seemed to be that it was gonna be the thing. I mean, if the album's named after it, then of course, it must be pretty
We
good.
hadn't had a title track in a minute, so I was really excited about that.
And you were right to be excited.
Yeah.
Next, she cues up a track for the writer that plays with the idea of perception. She has often wondered how would she be written and spoken about if she were a man. So she calls this a thought experiment. Well, yes.
I experimented with my thoughts when I listened to it.
The lyric that gets leaked to us is, "I'd be a fearless leader. I'd be an alpha type when everyone believes, yeah, what's that like?" Fearless mentioned.
Fearless mentioned.
Fearless mentioned.
Don't even think about
Don't forget.
overlooking that. Don't even think about it. I remember thinking when everyone believes you, what's that like? Was a
Mm,
gag and a half. And I mean, it still is.
it
The
is.
delivery
It
of it is
is.
really good on the song as well. There's like pieces of parts of The Man that I appreciate. I hate the production. And I think when most people hear it or heard it at the time, my brother, for example, were like, I feel like this is coming from her, it's not landing the way that it's meant to land, but I kind of like always push back against that because I was like, well, she kind of is specifically talking about herself though, and like her
Yeah.
own experiences. Like
Mhm.
it's a little cringy, I get it, but like
Once you
where's the
shift
lie?
to viewing everything just from her perspective and you stop expecting her to be the moral
Right.
arbiter of the universe,
Mhm.
she set herself up for that one though. Like she did set herself up for that interpretation of Lover because like 90% of the marketing was about I'm always posting.
When she's still marketing, I'm always posting, mind you, even though the posts are gone.
The posts are gone. The posts are literally archived. So she shares in this interview that the secret sessions will be happening. And she says, they've never given me a reason to stop doing it. Not a single one. Oh, just you wait.
I
Oh,
think it's really funny that
just
Lover were the
you
last
wait.
ones. I mean, obviously the pandemic really killed them, but to me it felt like an excuse to do it more than it was like actually the pandemic killed them. She was like,
Mhm.
"Thank God, a
Finally,
reason
that's
to
over.
stop doing this."
She just wanted to stop meeting fans, period. She was like, "You guys are getting too weird. I've had enough." And she's met enough fans in her life. She really has. She's met
She
so
really
many
has. She's met
people.
way more fans than I think most other people, celebrities in
13-hour
her
meet and
position.
greet.
Yeah, I mean,
Many
come on,
won't even
nobody
do
else
a
is doing that.
2-hour meet and greet. Hello.
Hello.
August 12th, Taylor has a party to celebrate her collaborations with Everyone on Me and You Need to Calm Down. So it's a flop summit and the gay men of New York City. It's a flop summit.
It's a pop summit featuring the gay men of New York City. Well, yes.
Well, yes, drunk Taylor trends on Twitter, and there is an incredible video of her looking wasted out of her mind with her bangs in her face. And I love that.
Yeah, I like the dress in this video. I remember
This is
that.
back when normal people could like get videos of Taylor doing things in public and post them, and you would see it, and it wouldn't be like an incident, like just at a
No.
bar,
But
dancing
this
around.
was also when the "I'm worried about Taylor's drinking" started.
Yes. She's drinking
She
too much, she's an
yeah,
alcoholic, and also, I
shocking.
mean, we would be remiss to mention that this is where the "Do you listen to Taylor's old music or not?" conversation starts, because there were no re-recorded versions yet. There wasn't really discourse about Stolen or Taylor's version, but there was immediately pushback being like, "Stop listening to the back catalog on streaming, stop it."
That was never gonna happen. That they
Some
were
of
living in a
us
fantasy.
some
Some
of
of us
us
never stopped.
didn't heed that warning.
That's crazy, I don't remember that. I think I completely blocked that out because I was like, Come on.
I'm not doing that. Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
the suggestion, but that's
Yeah.
absolutely not happening. Then we have the Teen Choice Awards, and for God knows what reason, Taylor debases herself to collect another surfboard, and she wears one of the most hideous Versace bodysuits. I hate everything about this.
I like the hair and the makeup.
I can't even see it. I can't see it.
All I see are the glaring
It's
colors.
a loud outfit. Like this, it's a screaming at me, actually. The hair
Yeah,
kind of serves
it's
though.
I I don't think about it a lot. I decide to
It's not
forget,
an
but I did
iconic
like the hair.
look.
No, definitely
Mm-mm-mm.
not. No, 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 no.
We also learned that there is a new song coming out, the title track, Lover, which will be the official third single. It is a solo write. We were
Thank
very
God.
happy to hear about that.
Thank God.
Produced by who else but Mr. Antonoff. She detailed the process of making this for the New York Times Making the Song series, which is a great watch for anybody that wants a peek at her process. It definitely has that wedding band waltzing vintage sound to it, thanks to all the instruments that were being used in the song were invented in the 70s or earlier, and it was very inspired by Paul McCartney, apparently. I don't understand how this was inspired by Paul McCartney. Does this I guess I'm not
She's just
familiar enough
saying
with the
Paul
music.
McCartney to say Paul McCartney. She's like obsessed with
Right.
him for some reason. And it's none of my
She
business.
is. She is obsessed
It's
with
none of
him.
my business.
This was met with critical acclaim, and I really do think it's because the album had been so baffling until this point. And I remember at the time, we remembered like the best way to introduce Taylor to people's memory was as Lover Girl, like as the girl that's singing a harmless love song. At this point, people were tired of the "Look What You Made Me Do." They were tired of the "You Need to Calm Downs." What they wanted was Love Story. What they wanted was "You Belong with Me," and Lover was like the closest to that we'd had in a long time from her.
Yeah, I think we were definitely it felt like I remember thinking and she was talking about Lover and like the idea behind the album and of course this song. I always felt like, "Oh, this is like a return to form." That's what I
Hmm.
thought.
Yep.
Delusionally, I thought that, but that's how it was kind of being marketed. I thought was her goal.
One reviewer pointed out that it didn't sound like a radio hit. It was destined for more sacred spaces like headphones, lonely car rides home after dropping someone off at an airport, and first dances at weddings. What they didn't realize is that it would become the global grocery casinos casino song. It just gets
Oh,
played
they play
everywhere.
it in casinos all the time. I can vouch for
Hmm.
this. I heard it in Reno and Las Vegas over and over and over again. And I was cheering. Let
Hmm.
it be known. I cheered every time, but I'm just saying.
It's not a private song. I would say it's one of her most popular songs, which is bizarre to me. Definitely Eras Tour induced. It's funny to look back at what constituted a hit then versus now, because As Lover is her most successful album now. Boys, when it was coming out, it wasn't like that. This was the third top 10 hit from Lover, and it peaked at number 10. Torture Poets charted every album in like the top 20. Okay, every song from the album in the top 20, and Lover was dying to get into the top 10.
Yeah. It wasn't great. This was bad. It was bad. By her standards, it was bad. By anybody else, probably pretty good, but by hers, not great.
What did you think about the song when it first came out?
Oh, I was obsessed with it. This was my moment where I knew the album wasn't gonna fail. I was like, okay, listen, there's something for me on this record. Plus, I was in a state to receive it. I was very much in a state to receive a song like that. I played it for Mason because I was like, you thought that me was for Kids Bop Disney. Well, listen to this. You tell me if the kids are gonna stream this or not, because this is not for the children. I'll tell you that for
Mm-mm.
free. So yeah, I really loved it and I thought it was great.
And it was. I think how did I feel about it at the time? I was not in a place of Lover. This is very crucial to how I received Lover when it came out. I was not in a place of Lover. So when Lover the song came out, I was kind of like, all right. Like I didn't think anything particularly negative or positive about it. I was still more in the Archer bag, which is kind of crazy to me in hindsight. And then the track list leaks, so she has to release it. This always happens. And she released the fuggliest
Oh, it
type.
was horrible. You couldn't even read it.
It
I
was
remember that. I was like
horrible. And it
trying
took
to
like
read
3
it.
grid posts because the
Yeah.
font was so big. It was so
Yeah.
stupid. And what do you remember any song titles jumping out at you when you first read them? For me, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince was a gag, and I think also Afterglow was a gag.
Cornelia Street, I remember. Cornelia Street, I remember really I was like, "Oh, I'm so excited." That Death by a Thousand Cuts, Miss Americana, but I was really skeptical about that song. Would that turn out to be
I thought it
true?
was an
Well,
insane title. I was like, "What could
it
this possibly
was.
be about?"
To this day, it still is.
We don't
It
know.
stands out. If you look at all of Taylor's titles, it really leaps out at you. It jumps.
It jumps, it really does.
Yeah.
So she reposts the 5 holes in the fence post and says, "Okay, now there are 5 holes in the fence." Is this a joke to you?
It's not funny. I don't
It's
like
not
it when she
funny.
jokes around with us. No, that's not for you.
Mm-mm.
That's
Mm-mm.
not for you.
Don't reclaim our
Nope.
math.
Nope.
Then we're assaulted by the first glimpse of the Stella McCartney collaboration. She's musing through pictures of the designs in her studio, and it's like mouth agape at
This
how
was
fugly this is.
it was shocking.
It was so
Even just like what you have the yellow shorts and her tucked in little like tie-dye top
mm-mm.
and everything behind her, I was like, oh, oh, what is that? That's not it, is
You know,
it?
sometimes you see an ugly merch item and you're like, "Oh, it's merch." Like, but it doesn't matter if it's ugly or not. This was ugly from the perspective of it being clothes. Like, they wanted us to believe that this was fashion, but it was also ugly from a merch perspective. It wasn't like,
it,
"Okay, this isn't fashionable, but I would wear it as merch." No, it was neither
it
appropriate.
it was just bad from any way you looked at it. I don't know what they were thinking. It was like one of those things where it's like, who approved this? Who said, yeah, how did this get through so many levels of people?
The same person who said, "We just wrote the lead single." The same. There was no filter. There was only one filter. There was one filter, and the filter was broken. It was not working. These two delusional girl bosses were completely out of their minds for the prices on this nonsense. It is legit just ugly merch at designer prices. Who the hell is this for? The Swifties can't afford it, and the rich people don't want to look like they just got decked out at Claire's with Taylor Swift's face on their stomach. Hmm?
And you know what's really funny is that every girl that I saw actually shell out for the ugly water bottle or the ugly hoodie that said dazzling haze or like any of those things, all of those wound up getting sold. I constantly saw after Lover ended, I constantly saw people being like, "I'm selling my Stella McCartney water bottle for $20. Please buy it, please."
Reputation merch selling for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah,
Lover Stella
and
McCartney merch free.
free. I'd give it away.
It's legit for free. I bought nothing. And get a load of these prices. The bomber jacket, which is hideous. Actually, that of all the things that were so hideous, that was like the least hideous, but it was still not nice, was $2,000. $2,000.
And it was shocking. And it
For
was
what?
shocking.
For what?
Seriously, like, busted Lisa Frank.
Mm-mm. Lisa Frank
Busted.
was better. Lisa
Yeah,
Frank
oh,
was
I love
better.
Lisa Frank. Love Lisa Frank.
Mhm.
Not this.
The
Uh-uh.
bags, the hideous pleather bags, not even real leather, for $800.
And they marketed it as vegan.
Hello?
Plastic. Plastic.
Plastic, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
We might as well go through the collection because it really is atrocious. One of the illustrious items for sale is a picture with an Instagram filter of Benjamin on it with the words in Arial font, Stella X Taylor 2019. Who wants this?
The one that I remember really being a war crime is it was a shirt that had Summer's a knife on it. So that's why I even considered it, but it had a unicorn on it. What the hell? What does that have to do with Summer's a knife?
And the
Are you
font was
out of your
fugly too.
mind?
The font was fugly.
Oh,
Nothing about it was cute.
everything was bad. Everything was bad.
And the lyric that she chose as like the lyric for the merch was "There's a dazzling haze." Why not
What
breakable
was she
heaven?
thinking? What was she
Nothing.
thinking? It doesn't
Nothing.
mean anything out of context.
I didn't even look at any of this and say, "I want that." It didn't even
No.
register to me as kind of
Uh-uh.
like, maybe I'll get that. And that's very, very rare. I waited for the actual Taylor merch to come out. I'm wearing it today. This is a non-Stella McCartney, normal Taylor Swift store design that I got. The Stella McCartney stuff was never on my radar.
Well, and you know what's really messed up for me is that I actually am like low key a tie dye girl. Tie dye, we would always tie dye stuff when I was a kid. We loved tie dyeing everything. Me and my
Blizzard Review
siblings.
merch is a
Yeah,
tie-dye
seriously,
shirt.
no, I love tie dye. So like for me to hate the tie dye, it was bad. Trust me. And I
Mhm.
like tie dye, not like that.
It
Mm-mm.
it was really bad.
Yeah.
So, again, as you can see, we're literally going from flop event to flop event. We're going from the Teen Choice Awards to the Stella McCartney collab. Like, it's not going
It was
well.
so bad. It
This
was
is
so
this is why
bad.
when people are like, "You guys, like, you're so mean to Lover." I'm like, "I know you weren't
You
there.
weren't
I
there.
know you weren't there.
This is what
You
we were
weren't
dealing
there."
with. A $2,000 jacket that why I wouldn't wipe my with. Seriously.
A screen capped photo from her Instagram with Stella X Taylor of her cat on a plain white t-shirt.
Come on.
People.
Come on. Don't lie in
The
the
Cats
comments.
trailer, furry
I can
titties,
feel
cat
the
butthole.
fingers poising on the
Red,
keyboard.
you just did it.
Nope. Don't try it.
No, we were
Mm-mm. I'm
there.
not
We were
doing that.
there.
Not about
We were
Stella X Taylor.
in
Nope.
the belly of the beast, okay? We're in the belly
Yep.
of the beast. The week before Lover comes out, Pitchfork decides to right their wrongs and review all of Taylor Swift's albums. This to me was the first sign of the new wave of Tay positivity. Tay
Mhm.
negativity from Reputation was over, and the critics were really ready to receive this bafflingly rolled out record with open arms. Like when you look back on it, Lover got a very soft place to land from a critical perspective.
Oh, they gave it a fair shake. They did.
Compared to Tortured Poets, which is immeasurably better than Lover and got slammed, it depends on whether it's Tay positive or Tay negative in the air.
And that's just the way it goes. And that's just the way it goes. What can I say? I'm used to
It
it.
was it was Tay positivity. Also, Pitchfork at this point was getting a lot of for the way that they treated female artists, and there was a concerted effort to review more pop albums. And it was pointed out to them that the only time they had discussed Taylor was with the Ryan Adams cover version of her album.
Well, this was also the year 2019 was the year where Halsey posted that iconic tweet, "When will the basement that they run Pitchfork out of collapse already?" The
Yes, it's in the
way
World
the
Trade Center. Yes, it's in the
iconery.
World Trade Center. Yes, it is.
Just
And was she
iconic.
wrong? When will
No,
it?
especially at the time, like they were this was like a comeuppance that was well deserved.
They had been asking for it. They had been
Yeah.
asking for it. Let's talk Secret Session. Tyler, noted editor of these videos and member of the Snake Nation, has attended them. Now, there's not much to report from them. They weren't that messy. We didn't get any. I don't remember. Like with Reputation in 1989, we got clues. We got information. There were things told. With Lover, it was like I guess also because there were more kids at Lover. It was less of our friends
Well,
getting invited, and it was more literal minors with their parents.
the thing about the lover sessions that I remember is that they would go until 4 in the morning, and people would
hmm
be sleeping on towels out by the pool. That's what I remember. Yeah, no, seriously, like, it taking
Yeah.
forever is what I remember, and I also remember Cornelia Street being treated like it was the diva. Cornelia Street is the
You know
gorgeous
what we heard
of
nothing
the
about? Cruel
sessions.
Summer. We heard nothing about Cruel Summer. And
They
that
didn't know what they had.
they had no idea. The Man, I think we also heard a little bit about. I think they were like, this one's a gag. Because then when the song titles are revealed, then the Secret Sessioners can talk more about what they've heard. But also by the time that Lover Secret Sessions rolled around, there were already 4 songs out. So they only had 12 songs left to listen to. And Taylor left the room for Soon You'll Get Better. That was another thing that we learned,
Yeah.
which makes sense to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, someone said that Miss Americana was extremely political and that False God was about Trump.
Why are they always agonizingly wrong? This is like,
In
didn't
the
you say
sense
that "Call It
that
What You Want" was like
sassy
a
bop,
Kim
a
Kardashian?
sassy bop. I called it a sassy bop. I wasn't wrong, and
Well,
I'll
I
stand
mean,
by that.
there's levels to it. If you
Mhm.
understand it, you understand it. If you don't, you don't. What do you want me to do?
But is False God about Trump? Is there any way that that makes sense?
No, the
Religions
altar is my
in my
hips.
how could you
What are
possibly
you talking
unless
about?
your interpretation was Taylor Swift was having an affair with Donald Trump, there is
Which
no
get
way.
real. Come
Get
on.
real.
They'll say anything.
They will. I miss that about it. Like session nonsense was a very fun part of the album release cycles. The LA session ended up being really huge because it got merged with another one after someone leaked the address, which is crazy to me. We used to be a fandom that respected tradition and secrecy. We were like
No,
eyes
see,
wide
this
shut.
is why she had to stop doing them. The lover sessions were a disaster.
We were doing our hoo 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 sex cult
Yeah.
stuff and didn't tell
Yeah.
anyone about it.
No, we
But the
didn't
lover
tell a
people,
single
they wanted
soul.
to get their freak flag in public, and that's
The worst
embarrassing.
thing that I ever heard about, like, the 1989 and Reputation sessions, other than people being a little awkward and uncomfortable, was, like, stealing soaps.
Yeah, putting like game card sheets in their pockets. Okay, go off, queen. But so there were only 3 locations for these sessions: London, Nashville, and LA. It also happened so close to the album coming out that like it didn't really do anything, I guess. No New York City, which is the coup. That's the coup secret session. And she didn't do one for Reputation either, I don't think. New York City was only ever one time. And that sucks because that's the diva.
Well, the New York one was the weird one too, right? Where it was on the roof,
No, she
and
had
it was
2.
like,
She had a normal one and then she had the roof
oh,
one.
the ultimate secret session,
Mhm.
right? And it
And
was
she
actually
kinda did
like,
that for this too, for Lover. She did the final secret session, which was a YouTube live chat where she performed The Archer and did
yes.
more Stella McCartney
No,
propaganda.
I wanted to go to that one because that one looked nice. There was a
It
couch.
it looked nice, but it's not a real secret session in the sense that you're not in her house and she's not playing you all the songs. It's just
In
kind
the
of like an
sense that,
exclusive performance.
well, and I'm seated.
They were seated, and she looked gorge. Her performance
She
with The
did.
Archer was good too.
It was great.
Then it's release week, and the Swifties are acting the fool in NYC. This is the first time I remember it being a destination occasion. People being like, I'm going for release week, like from Ohio. They swarmed the streets of New York City, and they were flying in all over the country for this nebulous release week, of which events were not announced. People did this for midnights too, didn't they? And nothing happened.
And nothing happened. And wasn't there something about them being at Target, or was that for Tortured Poets? We're like, she's gonna
Yeah.
be here, or something like that, and
Hmm.
they waited and waited and waited at Target, and nobody
She
ever
didn't
came.
come. She didn't come. She
Delusions.
stopped doing that, girls. That's over.
No,
That really is
that's
over.
over. That's really over.
So then it's release day. And this is August 22nd or 23rd. She performs on Good Morning America. Visually, she's serving here. Boot, blonde hair, but unfortunately, she has to do the flop parade of songs. Me and You Need to
Yeah,
Calm Down.
I did really like this outfit. I always remember there's like a gif of her from this performance where she's going like this, and I think about it all the time.
Mm.
It's like,
She looks wonderful. Imagine if we had Cruel Summer performed in that outfit on this stage. Huh?
but we didn't, did we?
We didn't. No, we didn't
No,
even
we
know it
got
existed.
me, and You Need to Calm Down and Shake It Off.
Enough.
It's crazy.
We've had enough.
Yeah.
Then the Lover music video is released. It is co-directed. Now you see how co-directing can work. Co-directing is the way to go. With Drew Hirsch, we of course get the iconic Lover house, which means nothing.
They
Means
still, to
nothing.
this day, the
Madeline's
years that
up.
they spent, the years that they spent nitpicking it, and I hated it from the jump because it started immediately.
Yeah, and that's
The
when Karma.
all these squares represent, and they've represented different
What
things
you
a
orange
million times
square
over.
mean? What you orange square mean?
Do you see how reputation is in the basement? What are you talking
What are
about?
you talking about? Then she lit it on fire to tell you to shut up. Enough. We've had
And
enough
they
of
still
you,
won't
Beast.
stop.
They still won't stop. Her co-star Christian Owens would go on to be her opening act from Some Dates of the Eras tour. I believe we saw him. Was it
We
Chicago?
did, and we cheered.
He was
We
good.
were going, yay!
Could I even hum you a bar of one of the songs? Absolutely not.
No,
But we
but I was
cheered.
there, and I know I was there.
Spotify is releasing hideous murals around New York City, but at least they have Cruel Summer lyrics.
They do, the Devils Roll the Dice one. A lot of people that I knew got pictures in front of that mural. Devils Roll the Dice,
Jealous.
Angels Roll Their Eyes. It is iconic. It's
I think
iconic.
I was in New York at the time. I don't know why I didn't go. Or I arrived in New York, like, I think maybe 6 days after the album
Now,
came out.
why the hell don't I remember you being in New York for a Lover release? Because I feel like you would have been doing cartwheels on Cornelia Street.
Well, you would have thought, but I had just come back from my master's degree, and it was, like, a whole production getting back and, like, settling in,
Oh,
so I
yeah, so it's
wasn't
not
I wasn't
right.
tuned in. I wasn't the one time in my life that I wasn't tuned in. I mean, I was listening and following what was going on online, but I wasn't going
Right.
down
You
to
weren't there
Brooklyn. Yeah.
to do cartwheels on
Um,
Cornelia Street.
yeah, and I was also really broke, so I was like, "I'm not getting an Uber to Brooklyn. It's just not happening to go and take a picture at a wall. I can live without that." And then I also didn't go to the pop-up because I had no interest in buying any of the Stella McCartney merch.
Was that the one that she went to?
Mhm. Should have
Well,
gone.
she
Should
should
have
have
gone.
gone.
Damn.
I remember
The
where a
Lover
lot.
pop-up shop is an art installation. I'm using that term lightly. It had, like, the lights, the lampposts from the Me music video. Do you remember this?
Yeah, and it was like the LA lights, right? That's what it was modeled after.
Mhm. To sell the ugly merch.
None of my
And she popped
business.
up. She popped up.
And people bought it. People bought that part in the situation. Maybe I would have been like, I have to buy something because this is my one time to get something. And I would have been like, taking it home in the harsh light of day. I would have held it up and gone, what the hell was I thinking?
Well, the true coup was that I got to go to the Reputation pop-up shop, and that rocked because it had, like,
Yeah.
the throne from Look What You
Yeah.
Made Me Do, and it had all the gorgeous merch that I actually wanted to buy, unlike the other things that we have from the Zara. Now let's get into this mother album because it was a gag. I listened to it on a rooftop at, like, I wanna say, like, 10 AM on the Saturday morning. It was a gorgeous hot day in New York City, and I pressed play, and I heard I Forgot That You Existed, and I went, "We didn't hear that."
I was
I said, "We
really
didn't hear that."
quiet. I forgot that you existed quieted me in a way that I didn't know was possible. The Drake line, the doo-doo-doo,
Everything about
dude,
it.
the
No.
goofy piano, like it
The
sounded
fact
like
that
it was
there are no
from.
instruments in the song, the fact that there's no instrument.
And I
I
thought that
forgot
it
that
would
you
give me, but
existed.
it didn't. It's like,
No. I was
So
like, "Thank God we have
anyway,
17 more songs to come."
I need to go back and watch my I actually don't remember what I said on my Instagram story about it, but I'm sure it was, "Okay, that just happened. Let's find something else."
Madeline's full Lover reaction is on Instagram, and you should
I
watch it,
think
it's
it's
really
in my
funny.
highlights, and you should go watch it.
I
It's
wish I had
hilarious.
recorded mine, but it just hadn't it didn't occur to me then to record reactions to things. I
No,
just
we
didn't
didn't know. We didn't know.
we didn't know. I wish I had for posterity. But I forgot that you existed. I promptly forgot that it existed. Cruel Summer, immediate gag. Immediate.
Well, remember, this is when I would reshuffle the track list when I would listen to it on my first
Yes.
time. So I actually have no
Deranged.
idea when I listened to Cruel Summer. If I'd listened to it that early, I think it would have gagged me too much.
You listened to it, if I remember correctly, kind of smack bang in the middle.
That's when I needed it because then I took a break. I was like, something just happened to me. I gotta go. I
I think you
came
heard Miss
inside.
Americana first and you were like, this is the gag. And then you heard Cruel
Yeah.
Summer and you were like,
Wait a second. We're getting an album. It's an album. Wait, it's an album.
Madeline said that it was a cross between the Taj Mahal and the MoMA, and that's the perfect way to describe it.
The way that I was gagged, I can't even express to you. You just have to go watch it. That's all there
Why
is to
don't
it.
we have making of the song Cruel Summer? I want to know what Annie Clark's responsibility in this was.
Yeah, I think I would kill to see the inside of the studio, a fly on the wall. Instead, we got Joel Little sessions.
I don't want that. Why?
I don't want those. I
We
don't want these.
chronicled the making of the worst songs on the album and we left all the good shit to someone else. Okay, fine, whatever.
And we get only the young. That's what we get.
That's what we get instead. But Cruel Summer was an instant highlight for me. I was like, immediately also, why was this not a single?
It still
Why?
makes no sense. And they have the crackpot theory that it was gonna be a single eventually.
And derailed by the pandemic, but I don't know
I
about
don't
that.
know if I even believe that because I just know her and I
Mhm,
know the
and it
flopdom.
and also 4 singles was kind of the thing that she did at that time, and the album wasn't doing well, so why would you do a 5th single? I mean, it doesn't really make sense, does it? But then we get Lover, okay, we heard that. The Man, Joel Little as a producer with Taylor it's not a good combination. They did one good thing together and that's it. I don't like the production.
Yeah, I don't like the production. Do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do.
Could
I
we
just
also
didn't.
not have managed to do The Man as a solo, right? Just a thought. Could we
Yeah, why is Joel Little credited? What did he contribute? I want to
what could he have
know.
said?
I don't
Maybe the
have.
line about Leo?
Yeah, maybe. I don't. What did I think
The
about
bridge
this one?
gagged me. The bridge gagged me.
I do think I gagged. I think I gagged. It was more. This was still when her swearing at all was kind of like, oh.
I think this
So
is the first time we heard her say,
yeah, it's like,
loved
oh,
it.
Taylor.
So I
And
heard
I
that one and
was.
I said, absolutely. I love it. The Archer, we knew her. I think he knows. Instant favorite of mine. I think that was like my number 2. I think I had my top 3 was like, I think it was Death by a Thousand Cuts number 1 after my first listen. I think he knows number 2 and Cruel Summer number 3.
Makes sense. It still makes sense today.
If I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't like I think he knows at first?
I think I was kind of lukewarm on it. There
The
were parts of it I
falsetto.
liked. I didn't. I just thought that the chorus was a little bit grating. Like there was
Right.
something wrong with it. It's not just about the falsetto. It was like the drums or something. But I
It's
loved the
saccharine.
bridge. Yeah.
It's very sweetsy. I love it. And the acoustic version from the Eras tour slays so hard. It is so, so good. Another, like, again, when we look at You Need to Calm Down and Me, why is I Think He Knows just sitting there?
That would have been a really good first single.
It would have been
Way better than
amazing.
me. It would
That
have
would have
been.
been
It
a
would have.
great palate
Yeah.
cleanser.
Yeah. I would have said, and I'm seated and I'm listening.
And it was
I
fun and it was
think he
short for
knows
streaming.
that.
Mm, 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 mm,
Hmm.
mm.
Oh
Also a
yeah.
very sexy song. A very sexy song.
Yeah, I might not have liked this song when I first heard it. I don't remember, but I definitely really like it now. It's one of my favorites from the album.
Miss Americana. I remember when I heard this the first time, I was like, I love the sound, but I have no clue what's going on. Like without the lyrics in front of me, I was like, I have no idea what this is about.
I remember playing it and that intro happening to me, and I was like, "Uh oh, she's doing something," because it's tonally kind of different from the rest
It's
of the record.
dark.
It's
Yeah, it's
dark and
dark.
it's spooky and mysterious. When she did the pre-chorus, that's when I was like, I had to stop it and restart it because I was so gagged.
This was a Madeline favorite. This was a
It
Madeline top
was. It's
spot.
so strange. I used to play it at the bar all the time. I put it on the jukebox. I was terrorizing people with this song.
I bet they
Time
cheered.
passed and I was like, this is kind of cringe. And then of course it was the Era's opening track and it became
Full circle
so
again. I mean,
yeah, so it is
it
it's a
is
gag.
it's in the same universe as You Need to Calm Down and Only the Young, unfortunately. It's like The Man is the best version of that kind of writing. Miss Americana is number 2, everything else is garbage. So, the always posting behaviors, I guess, is what we can call that category of her music. But Miss Americana to me, it felt very Lana to me. Oh, okay, very Born to Die, so I did like that. Paper Rings, instant hate. I hated it from the moment I heard it.
I really liked it.
I like shiny thing. That to me was totally
I was cheering.
unbearable.
I was in a place to receive it, and receive it I did. I received it loud and clear. Was I
Mhm.
engaged at that point? No, I got engaged in October.
So you were
I was
ready. You
ready.
were like,
No, I
"Yeah,
was
I
ready.
would marry you with
2
paper
months
rings."
later, the ring appeared. I feel like there's something to be said. He just came home, but there's something to be said about, like, Lover coming out and Mason being like, "I should probably propose."
Yeah, period.
There's a connection.
You see how where you are mentally can affect how you receive a Taylor Swift album, but Paper Rings has not grown on me. That's one of those ones that, like, I'll let it rock, but I really don't like the sound of it. It irritates me, and it's also just such, "I love you, Joe, Joe." Like, we get it. At this point, I was
Well,
like, "I've
I was
heard enough."
saying, "I love you, Mason."
Mason, exactly. Um, Cornelia Street, I remember being disappointed. I was like, "Okay, I was
Oh, I
expecting
hated it. I
something
hated it.
more." The production again was what did it for me. I was like,
Mhm.
"Why is it produced like this?" It's so much better when you hear it acoustic.
It's so much better. Yeah, this was a moment where she was trying to do too pop. And I think that was kind of like, in my opinion, what is the big glaring problem with Lover? It was this desperation to make a
Mhm.
pop record. It's like not every song on here needs to be pop. Cornelia Street would go so much harder as like a piano or an acoustic guitar or more like a Lover produced kind of a song. Instead, she said, "Give me a beat."
Doop, doop,
And it's
doop,
just
doop, doop, doop. Like, it sounds
completely
like a malfunctioning
destroyed.
synth. It's
Yeah.
really nobody asked for it. Nobody was clapping and cheering for it. We didn't want it. But the song itself is all right. I think the song is really let down by the production. Death by a Thousand Cuts. I gagged so hard when I heard this song. This was the song to me when I first heard it. That piano sample at the beginning, the way that how frantic it is, I was like, what the hell is that sound? The way it comes in. And then when we got to the bridge,
I was quiet. I almost couldn't even process it. I
it
was
was
like, "Whoa,
immediately
whoa."
everything to me. And the
It was
production on
amazing.
that rocks. Amazing
I like
production.
it. It's so different. It's
Mhm.
still so different than anything else that she's done at this point. Than her and Jack have done together too as well. It's so like experimental almost. And I also really love it acoustic. So it's a good song either way. So,
It bangs, but it's not an upbeat song. Like, I wouldn't describe
right.
it as a banger, but it really bangs when you hear it with full production. I would have loved to have heard this song performed live with a full band. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Oh, would have gagged so hard. I would have been really interested to see like what kind of outfit would she wear, what kind of moment would it be in the set list if we had ever gotten Loverfest. Like it would have been really interesting. Same thing with most of this album. Like how would she have done
Yeah.
this? I don't know.
Well, speaking of
We'll
London
never
Boy,
know.
London Boy, I got it from the start. I got it from the
Oh, me
first
too.
listen. I never thought this was embarrassing. I always thought that this was I thought that it was, like, funny. Like, when I listened to it, I was like, she's kind of making fun of herself, like, she's being dead serious, but she's also being like, "Hee hee," silly about being, like, an American girl in the UK. Like, she is self-aware. That's what I took away from this, but other people, this was, like, the song that the critics bashed on.
I'm trying. I feel like I went on a journey with London Boy. I never hated it. I always thought that it was cute and it was enjoyable to listen to. But there was a moment that I became obsessed with it. I remember that. Like it wasn't when I went to London, it was years before I went to London. It was just like randomly one day I was like, I
"I
think it's when
fancy
she performed
you!"
it. When she did it acoustic
Oh my
and
god,
she
that
did
performance
the
is
all the
so
notes. Oh my god, it's so good. I was like, hold on.
Wanna be with you. London boy, I enjoy walking Soho, drinking in the afternoon.
that's one
This
of
is
her
in different
that's one of
areas.
her best performances.
It's so good. And nobody ever talks about it. Nobody
Nobody
ever talks about it.
ever talks about it. It really
She was
is
hitting
that
notes.
good.
She was
Yeah,
hitting
she
notes.
was. And also her performance of it at the Jingle Bell Ball later this year, really cute and good too. In
Yes,
London,
and
performing it in
with
London.
Christmas Tree Farm as well. She was eating. I miss Jingle Bell Ball performances. I'll say it. I'm not scared.
Me too.
We need
I
to go
want
back
Taylor
to
to do
that.
it. Come on,
Yeah.
let's one more
Come
time.
on.
So London Boys Slay, Soon You'll Get Better. This broke me. This completely broke me. I mean, if you were a fan of Taylor, you knew exactly what this was about. I remember being confused that the chicks were featured on it because like they're barely there. They're there in the harmonies. I think the song in spirit is very chicks inspired, but hearing this song, I cried.
It was very I remember the first time I listened to it, there's so much going on the album that, like, this moment, I felt like again, I don't remember when I listened to it because I shuffled it, but I remember it being like, "This is too much for me to intake." That's what I
Putting it
remember about
after
it.
London Boy is a really crazy thing to do on
Well,
the
in
track
and
list.
before False God.
Y I mean, we're just taking a moment to do Mom. Mom, I
I
love
think if
you.
we moved this down after well, no, because there's
Between
me.
It's Nice to Have a Friend and Daylight is where I would have put it as the track list currently stands. That's where I would have put it. Or I would have put it, I
Maybe more
guess,
up? Between
between
Cornelia Street and
Cornelia
Death by a
Street. Yeah,
Thousand
I would
Cuts?
have put it there
Yeah,
probably. But it
okay.
seems a bit on the nose to do Soon You'll Get Better into Death by a Thousand Cuts. That feels a bit inappropriate.
There's no good
There's
place
no
to
good
put
way
it.
for it.
I feel like
It
where she put it is as good as it's gonna get.
It's a true aberration on the album, but it actually, to me, really exemplifies what the album is about. It's about love in all of its different kind of forms, and Taylor's relationship with her mother is very special to her. I find it very special, and I find it very moving, and the way that she writes here is so beautiful. The vocal delivery is so beautiful. This is
Yes.
another song where there's kinda nothing like it.
Exactly, and I really loved her performance of it when she did it for that fundraiser they had for the pandemic with that was
Yeah.
hosted by Lady Gaga, and I remember Lady Gaga posted a video of herself watching it and being like, "This is so beautiful, Taylor. Thank you so much for sharing this with us." And I was like, I congratulated. It was I think when I think of Soon You Got Better, I think of that, her
An
performing it live.
extremely
Yeah,
special song. Very,
yeah,
very special song.
yeah.
We loved it. So yay. Well, not yay, but we appreciated the song. Moving on.
I know
False
what you meant.
God. False God. It didn't click with me at first, I don't think, because of the sequence of what had just happened to me. It was Death by a Thousand Cuts, London Boys, Soon You Get Better. And then I was like, what the hell? But when it clicked, when I moved to Brooklyn and I would have to walk home over this bridge at night, and there were all these lampposts and it would be raining, and I would look at the New York skyline, and I'd be just smoking my little
I'm
cigarette,
New
and I would
York City.
say, I'd be like,
Say
literally,
I'll
I'd be like,
do it
I'm
for
the
you,
West
baby.
Village. Woo. I was the alley cat sneaking around. I so clearly can like picture the walk that I was doing when I listened to that song. So that's when I really kind of imprinted on it. And it's a really, again, actually another interesting song. There aren't a lot of songs like that in her catalog.
That's what I was gonna say. This is one of Mason's random favorite songs. Every time there's like a Mason fave, it's like out of left field every single time. You never know.
I Can
But it
See
was
You
random.
and False
Yeah.
God.
Sparks fly too. It's so
What do
good.
those
No,
songs
the
share in
taste
common?
is
Nothing.
impeccable. The
Yeah.
taste is impeccable.
The man has
But False
taste.
God, I went on a journey with this song too because it's hieroglyphics. Let's start there. But second of
Mhm.
all, it's like I over time I've come to really appreciate the mystery and the sexiness and the just like saxophone of
Mhm.
False God. I really like it. It's definitely a nighttime, kind of like a midnight sort of a
Ooh, it
memento.
is. Mm.
Yeah, and so I
Mhm.
kind of I like it. I like it.
Boots. Then we have You Need
Yeah.
to Calm Down, which everyone skipped. Everyone in the world skipped. And then Afterglow. I remember listening to this one and going, "Is everything all right at home?"
I remember this was how every album release up to this point, I would choose a song to listen to when the album leaked.
Yeah.
The song that I chose was Afterglow. It was always and the way that I would choose it is it couldn't be one that I really wanted to hear, and it couldn't be one that I was skeptical of. It had to be one that was smack dab in the middle.
I'm
And I
trying
heard
to think.
Afterglow,
Yeah,
and I said, "Yep, that's what I
that's
thought it
the
was
one I
gonna
needed
be."
to hear. I'm
Yep.
trying to think. I think I also did that too. And I think the song that I listened to might also have been Afterglow, but it could have been Miss Americana. But either way, I was underwhelmed. Also, when I heard it, I was like, I'm bored. Like, this is not. I listened to it yesterday and really enjoyed my experience.
Oh,
But
Afterglow?
yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was like,
You know
okay.
what I like is the ending. I like that
Mm-hmm.
fade out. It's
Doom,
romantic.
doom, doom. I also
I
liked
like it.
her vocal delivery in it is good.
I do like the vocal delivery. I like the chorus. It's just kind of like I don't know. It just
It
feels like
shares a
it's not for me.
DNA with all of the girls you've loved before,
It's
which I
not
don't
for me to
like.
hear. You wrote it for
Mhm.
the man, and the man is the only one who can really appreciate this. I don't need to hear it.
Then we have
I
It's
don't need
Nice
to
to
hear
Have
it.
a Friend, and I'm gonna let Madeline cook because I don't care about this song.
One of my all-time favorite Taylor songs. Definitely one of my all-time favorite songs from the album Lover. Well, it's different than anything else she's ever done. Also, I
It
think if it would
is.
have been on Folklore, people would have clapped and cheered. As
Not
it is,
me.
because it's sandwiched between me and Daylight on Lover, people aren't understanding it for what it is. I love this song. I like that it sounds like a nursery rhyme. That's what a lot of people don't like about it, so I'm gonna let you rock. You either like it or you don't like it. That's what I like about it. It's very like sweetly childlike, and it's like this thing that she's been obsessed with for a long time, which is I've been in love with you since I was a little kid. She's really obsessed with this idea of like forever love. Only you and me. We're the only two you're the only person I've ever known in that way, and
It's
me
you and
too.
me. That's my whole world.
She's obsessed with that idea, and I kind of see the vision a little bit, but it's not really about that for me. I just think that the simplicity of it is so romantic and so beautiful. I have a whole lyrical analysis of it on this review, which you are free to look into. I did it for Valentine's Day 2 years ago, and I'll do it again. I'm not scared. I love the song.
I'll do it again. I'm not scared. This song, I don't care about. I actually don't have that strong feelings about it. Like, I'm not super positive or super negative. I just kind of whatever. Something I noticed when it came out, the veteran Swifties, like the people that Madeline and I grew up listening to Taylor with and talking about it online, all of them love this song. This was like an instant
Yeah.
classic for the vets. I don't know why.
You either get it or you don't. That's my opinion.
And I didn't, and I don't.
I didn't and I don't.
Speaking of things that I never got, never liked from the second that I heard it, Daylight.
My love was as cruel as the cities I lived in.
She's doing Tay British.
The thing that I really don't like about the song is the and this is something that I generally don't like about art. Like if a piece of art is doing this, I don't like it. Ham-fisted, overwrought, forcing meaning where there is no deep meaning. I hate that kind of stuff. So this was never made for me because she's really pushing it. She really wanted this to be like a moment. And it was like,
When people
mm-mm.
imitate Taylor's writing, Daylight is the kind of song they come up with. Gracie Abrams has a million daylights. Like when people want to pretend they're Taylor, they end up writing a song that is ham-fisted, overwrought. It's telling you what to feel instead of like showing you how it feels. And I just have always felt that it was a forced conclusion and she talked it up way too much. And it's like even the lyrics themselves, there's nothing particularly interesting. The I used to think love was burning red, but it's golden like daylight. Like that's not a connection that really feels true here in this scenario. It just sounds like you're making the connection to make everyone gag, which is not what I want from a song. So a bad way to close the album. But Daylight is to me emblematic of everything that's wrong with the Lover era. Forced, overwrought, overexplained, too direct, not mysterious enough, not
I
interesting.
breathed in the smoke.
Horrible.
Enough.
Horrible. We've had enough.
It's just it. I never listened to it. To me, it adds nothing to the album. If it disappeared tomorrow, I would think "It's Nice to Have a Friend" is a perfect closing track. I would think nothing of it. I would move on with my life.
After listening for the first time, I was like, okay, there's like 5, 6 songs that I'm gonna play on repeat, and everything else I don't care. And I also was like, Reputation was better immediately. Like as soon as it came out, I was like, I preferred Reputation. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna let her cook, but this album is not the same caliber.
What did I think about the album overall? I definitely knew that there were clunkers, and I started to get the sense that we were losing the girl. To say that we needed Folklore after Lover came out would be an understatement. If you weren't
Mhm.
there, you don't know. When Folklore came out, I was like, "Oh my god, it's her! It's her! I can't believe she's
It's
back."
easier to forgive the wrongs of Lover with context. When you have no idea what's coming next, and when the world is saying she's over, you're like, no, please don't let it be so. Please don't let it be
Yeah,
so.
this
Taylor,
was
get up on your
really
good
scary.
foot. Where's my writer girl?
That's why, like, why do you think we decided to start a retrospective podcast about Taylor's career during the Lover era?
It seemed like she was gonna retire. It really did, especially after Miss Americana came out. We were like, oh, pack
Yeah,
it up.
she alludes to it. This is the last time I'm ever gonna have this kind of success. I don't think people want to see me around anymore. Blah blah blah. Like she definitely. I think Folklore really kind of like it was like a SOS. You know, my flag is waving in the air. We're sinking, and I'm swimming to shore. Kind of
Mhm.
a moment. Like everything was getting restarted. It was like the emergency stop button was hit, and thank God
We needed that so
we
bad.
needed that so bad.
So the commercial performance of Lover. In its first week, Lover debuts at number 1 with 867 album equivalent units, including 679,000 pure sales, making Taylor the first female artist with 6 albums to sell over 500,000 copies in a single week. It sold 450,000 copies on its first day and outsold the rest of the Billboard 200 combined, a feat last achieved by her own Reputation. All 18 tracks charted simultaneously on the Hot 100, breaking the record for the most concurrent entries by a female artist. This might sound crazy, but the Taylor's moment is over conversations were very much happening as this was going on. Her first album to miss the million sales first week mark since Fearless. That was
They
not
were
good.
seriously saying it was 200,000 copies short, which, by the way, 200,000 copies is what a lot of the other pop divas of the era were selling in their first week period.
Yeah,
Just
and
to
that
give
was
you some
good. That was
context.
that was
Yeah, and that
considered
was
still at that
good.
time, anything over
Yeah.
200K, you were really succeeding. So, yeah, the context is important there, but even Speak
They
Now
thought,
managed to crack a million with no hits, and Lover had the longest lead time she's ever had to promote it. She had such a long time to get pre-orders in for this album, and I think this indicates that outside of her core fan base, which was already huge, people just weren't interested.
yeah. And
Me
that's why
put people
folklore,
off.
yeah,
People really were like, "What? We've lost her."
she's a child.
Because Reputation
She's
was
catering to the
polarizing.
children.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, "It's over for her. She's finished." The critical response is kind of, I would say, positive/lukewarm. So Pitchfork gives it a 7.1. They point out that Cruel Summer, Soon You'll Get Better, False God, and The Archer are highlights, and they say their worst songs are Paper Rings and London Boy. London Boy was pretty much universally panned, but I don't care because that's the best song ever made. They said, because Swift is better when she's learning rather than when she's trying to teach us a lesson, Lover's garish singles contribute to the strain. I've thought about Me every day for 4 months. It still sounds like a musical number taken out of context, just unearned celebratory fanfare without plot or character development. So dead-eyed, it's spooky. But she's better when she gives herself real space to think, as on Cornelia Street, a lovely, understated tribute to memory and nostalgia with the power to make one rarefied block of Manhattan feel universal. It's probably 5 bad songs away from being better than 1989. It's also a little wiser and more emotionally honest. Now, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably 5 bad songs away from being better than
So
1989,
it's
I
not
think
better
is
than
a
1989 is what you're saying.
little tay optimism. But also it's like it's probably 5 bad songs away from being a better album.
Yes, that's for sure.
True, but being 1989, now let's not sully the name of 1989. You don't even know
Mm-mm.
what you're saying there, sister.
No.
No.
And the critics really were trying to tie Lover to 1989, as was Taylor, I think, in making it a big pop moment. But that didn't come to fruition. The New York Times was also optimistic. They said Lover, her reassuringly strong seventh album, is a palate cleanse, a recalibration, and a reaffirmation of old strengths. It's a transitional album designed to close one bruised chapter and suggest ways to move forward. Very true, actually. Or in some cases, to return to how things once were. Once again, her concerns are largely interior: who to love, how to move on when love is gone. The album's power is encapsulated on Paper Rings and Cornelia Street. Interesting that
Nobody
Cornelia
can
Street
decide.
is like
Yeah,
the
nobody.
diva.
Yeah. They all think that Cornelia Street, but then it's like you get these random ones like False God. Who said that? Paper
Said
Rings,
that.
huh?
He also
Huh?
said Death by a Thousand Cuts could be a Kelsey Ballerini song because it's not special. Death to you
No.
by one
That
cut
doesn't
that I
make
will
any
make.
sense. I want to see Kelsey Ballerini write that bridge. I'm sorry to the queen, but come on.
That's not
It's not.
happening.
No.
This is also where and this is another thing that was coming on, will she return to country allegations had started. John Caramanica, throughout this review, ponders if Soon You'll Get Better is a sign of things ahead. And he spends a lot of time using it as an example of how she should write. And he says that the songs that chart her way forward are Paper Rings. Again, why? The Man, I Think He Knows, and Soon You'll Get Better, which are all so different. I'm like, what lane are you
Who is
suggesting
he
she
talking
takes?
to? I forgot about this. Because nobody talks this way anymore. But we need another country album. We need another country album.
Mm,
I forgot about that. That was definitely a thing that was going on, especially after 1989 Rap and Lover. They wanted country so bad. I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
no, me either. I think we might get another Folklore Evermore, but why limit herself? Why limit
Yeah,
herself? What's
yeah,
the point? She can write a country song without doing a country album. We know this.
we know this. Trust me.
Paste Magazine, I didn't realize, has always been doing no-name Taylor reviews. Their Lover review is unsigned as well. Jail. So you're just a hater. You're a random Reddit account, essentially.
Anonymous.
This
Yeah,
is just
that's what that is.
hateration.
Mhm.
They did deliver one bar, which is the central problem with Lover. Throughout the album, Swift essentially lists the things that she loves. She is the titular lover more than any of her subjects: her mother, her boyfriend, let's face it, love itself. While these are all heartwarming sentiments, they amount to a statement lacking any profound meaning, backed by music that struggles to make a lasting impression.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do
Well,
you want
yeah,
me to
there's
say?
something there. There's
There's something there.
something to
None of my
that.
business. None of my business.
September 9th, we have the City of Lover concert in Paris. She performs a one night only show, which is actually really good if you ignore the flop songs. This is also when we start to realize something is going on with the old songs and her ability to perform them. After the Prime Day performance, whenever she performs a set that has the old songs in them, for Jingle Ball and for this instance, they are generally not recorded or uploaded to the internet. We learn later on there was some sort of gray area for a while about what she could use and where and when. And we learn more about this when she talks about her Artist of the Decade performance and how the sales of her masters impacted that. That'll be in the next episode. But the official recording of this concert is not complete because the old songs aren't on it. Interesting.
Which is a bummer.
Hmm.
Which is a real bummer. I want that red performance real bad.
It was a great show. It was a really,
Yeah.
really good show.
Yeah.
And I do remember so specifically videos from the crowd before the professional videos came out of Death by a Thousand Cuts and Cornelia Street on guitar. Gagged.
Yeah, it was I love the recorded the ones that they have up on streaming. I love listening to that version of Cornelia Street so much. It's
Hmm.
so good.
Her
I love this
vocals.
performance. I thought it was so clever too. The City of Lover. I thought it was really
Hmm.
really cute. It was just like perfect for the era.
It was a very nice moment. And the set
Yeah.
list that she did was Me, Blank Space, Trouble, The Archer, Love Story, Delicate, Death by a Thousand Cuts, Cornelia Street, The Man, All Too Well Read, Daylight, Style, You Need to Calm Down, Lover, and Shake It Off. You see how even when the album is out, Cruel Summer, still ignored.
She didn't know what she had.
You're doing Daylight and you're not doing Cruel Summer.
She didn't
You're
know what
sick.
she had.
She's sick.
You're sick and you're
She's
twisted and you're
sick.
demented. You're so sick.
So sick. Then we get Loverfest announcement on September 17th. Taylor says in an Instagram post, "For me, the Lover album is open fields and sunsets and summer. I want to celebrate the album and perform it live with you in a way that feels authentic to the music. I want to go to some places I haven't been and play festivals for the first time in ages. And where we didn't have festivals, we made some. Introducing Loverfest East and West. Details and additional dates coming soon. TaylorSwift.com. A few European dates, her first ever Brazil date, and only 4 shows in the US."
Yeah, this was a cricket moment for me. And what's crazy is we all managed to get tickets.
I didn't. The dates
Oh, I
didn't
forgot
work.
about that.
I couldn't
I
go.
forgot
I was like,
about
damn, I'm gonna
that.
miss Loverfest. But
Um,
also, mm.
Well, I mean,
the
who
stage
knows?
came
We'll
out. We
never
got we
know.
at least got to see the stage within the shape of a heart. I would have liked to have seen that. I would have liked
I
to have
it's
seen
still
it.
to this day fascinated. Why don't you just tell us? I mean, what's the harm? Just let us know. What was it going to be?
Share with the class.
I want to
Just give us
know.
the
I had
ideas.
tickets. I had good
Mhm.
tickets too.
Mhm. This is the problem. So, what did we think of this new approach to touring? It was different for sure. I mean, usually if a tour was announced, it was going to be like a huge, at least national tour. So it was kind of shocking to me that a Taylor Swift album was having 4 concerts in the US. Again, these were all Tay recession indicators.
Yes. I feel like my reaction to it was I understand why. That was my first response. Like, I understand why this is happening. And number 2, I guess I kind of thought that it sounded cool
Yeah,
and different. I thought it sounded like, okay, I don't know what's going to be like because it was Loverfest and Friends.
whatever that
means.
means. And then
We
we found
still
out she
don't
was going to
know.
be headlining Glastonbury, and that was kind of like the marquee event of the Lover era. Like that was going to be her because it's a big deal to get the legend slot at Glastonbury.
Well,
So
then meanwhile, you're thinking that, and then you saw Wango Tango, and you said, I don't know about this. I literally do not know about
do
this.
we need to book her? Do we really want to book
I
her?
don't
The
remember
legend
my
slot?
thoughts about Loverfest. All I remember about Loverfest is my fight to get tickets. That's all I remember.
I also remember thinking that's not it. I was like, surely there's going to be more like that. It's not just going to be
Well,
this.
they were I remember off with their heads being said about me because I said there were people who were going to like all 4 shows somehow, some way. They were going to all 4 shows, and there are a lot of people who didn't get tickets. I do remember that. And I had made a comment about like I think she should probably do more shows because there's a lot more people who want to see her, and I was cooked alive for that. I mean, obviously I knew why it was happening, but it still felt bizarre to me to only do 4 shows.
There
It
was
just
a
didn't sound
righteous
real.
element to it as well because a lot of people were saying she's doing this because of Andrea. That was the other
That
piece
was
of
the
it.
other piece of the puzzle. So like,
So you
it's
were
like I'm not
you were
allowed to
expecting
say.
Taylor to drag her sick mother on tour, Madeline. Evil.
Yeah, that's what they were saying to me. So I'm not allowed to say like there's a lot of fans who didn't get tickets. I hope she does more shows. I'm not allowed to say that.
No, you can't.
No, I
To the
can't say that.
guillotine.
No, to the guillotine with me.
We also find out that she's going to be a mega coach on The Voice, whatever that means.
So did that ever even actually happen?
It did, but it
I
didn't
don't
make an
remember it.
impact at all. She was just like in a couple of episodes being like, "Yes, go queen." And it's like of all the things Taylor can give advice on, singing, I wouldn't say
And you
was
know,
her
here's the
number
tea.
one area of
Everybody knew
expertise.
that. Everybody knew she was the Paula Abdul. Everybody knew that.
Which is why no one moved. Which is
Yep.
why no one
And I don't
moved.
even remember it.
And that is
There you
where
have
we are
it.
going to end 2019 part 2. You see why we need to do a part 3. We're 2 hours in, and we've still got to go with the Artist of the Decade performance, the VMAs, the live lounge. We've got More Nonsense and Mess, Miss Americana, Cats. There's a lot more.
There's a lot to talk about. 2019 was more fruitful than I remembered. Fruitful is an interesting word, but you know what I mean.
For us, the Lover era has been going on in the Snake Nation now for over a year.
Which
And it
is
will
so
probably
depressing.
go on
Let me
for
out. Let me
2
out.
2
won't you?
years. Well, if you want to see the uncensored version of this episode or get any of our bonus episodes, we're posting all the way through tour. We will not be missing any episodes. We're working our little tails off to make sure that happens. So go to evolutionofsnake.com to get tickets to the tour, patreon.com/astrologist to join us behind the paywall, and we will see you in New York. Welcome to New York.